That's what they can do to afford. But we are monitoring it based on postal code, and then
some avec toi,
we're putting the resources that are needed in that area. But we do have to measure it.
Next question from Mark Douglas at CD News. Please go ahead.
Thank you. To Dr. Williams first, was there at any time during this pandemic crisis, was there any time in which you made a recommendation for protective measures for long-term care homes when you felt that perhaps that recommendation was not being acted on as quickly as you might like to see?
So all the time throughout the pandemic, as we're dealing with the issues at hand, part of our challenge with our data collection is to make sure we go after the most vulnerable first of all. And one of them was right from the beginning was to ensure that we had enough personal protective equipment for all our healthcare workers in that regard. So there's one whole group worked stringently at that and are continuing to work at that, as well as the testing and capacity in that area there. We have to identify where our most vulnerable areas are to deal with that, so
not
we can get
fresh.
the maximum effect as you saw
Fresh
today in
means
the modeling
fresh.
of bending the curve and bringing that down for the overall population. And as we go forward with other ones,
Chill,
including what you heard from the
Am I
models
wrong?
today,
Am I
with the
wrong? Did they
long-term
fuck
care
me over
picture,
that bad?
as the Premier said, we're putting full force and energy into that area now to work at that one to try and bend that curve as quickly as we can and as surely as we can as we move forward. So all the steps are recommended going forward. And would we like to solve everything? Yes, tomorrow? I would. But that's part of the challenge of dealing with a new virus, a new impact on the public and society.
Stupid. That's why you don't eat animals without cooking them.
We're ramping up continually to keep trying to bring that curve down under control. And I think as you heard from the modelers, we're moving from a worst to a middle to a best case scenario. So that's to the credit of everybody, including the citizens of Ontario.
Follow-up to the Premier. This is somewhat following up on other questions that have been asked already, but given the population
sour flavor
density of Toronto and the
I love that interior reviews. That ever say
of the province, does Toronto require prioritization when the economy reopens?
Well, I wouldn't say any region per se is a priority. We have to look at the modeling.
Prioritization of what, stupid? We put out $10 million a year in GST.
Dr. Williams, the answer is never.
The entire province has to come here to get their weed, even if they grow it locally. Stupid. Pay attention, you
when
fucking
Dr. Williams
morons.
speaks and the command table, we act immediately.
Oh,
and there's never been once that we've ever said, no, we're doing this or we're doing that. If anything,
What did I just
I'm not a medical professional, and sometimes I push the table a little harder than maybe what I should.
Sometimes he flips the table over.
I will always respect the advice of Dr. Williams and the rest of the.
I know you like your
medical
Escalade,
team, health
Mr.
professionals at the
but you
command
should get
table.
like
I'll never waver from that. But
Land Cruiser, Forerunner, or
question right now
LX47,
making
LX47
Toronto a priority,
Lexus or some shit.
the
It's
engine
some diesel
of
otherwise.
Canada
Come on.
and Ontario is not just Toronto, it's Toronto and GTA and the rest of the province.
Croutons.
If you add up the numbers,
So you know it's the good shit. On the top is the croutons. That's how you know.
40%.
No, I don't need to check them all. I check this
of
one.
the overall population. So we always have to make sure
I
we
recognize the
never
brand name.
cover
It's okay,
nor
but-
the 60% of the rest of the province and get their input. But I understand your question, but no, the supply chain, everyone's connected. So we have to make sure
Everything
that
you
we
eat,
support everyone in the province.
We touch first,
equally.
motherfucker.
Next question from Chanel.
Everything you smoke, everything you drink. Prove me
Hi,
wrong.
Premier, thanks for taking my question. I'm just wondering whether you're considering calling in the Army to help out in long-term care homes. This is something
We're
that
already
we've
here.
heard
Oh.
from Markham's mayor. He's been
I
calling
thought they
for
already
this.
said they were doing
We've
that.
also
The
heard
SWAT
from
teams. What do you?
workers who,
CF SWAT
they're
teams,
asking for
ministry
this kind of
SWAT
ground. They say
teams.
they're able to not go into work because they're sick or they're afraid. So, Premier, will you be calling in the
Got a
Army to help
barcode.
out there?
Anything with a barcode
As of
belongs to
today,
us.
no, we had discussions about it. Absolutely. Do we have a
I'm
plan?
joking.
Yes, we do.
That's where the line is
And,
drawn.
You know, I
You wanna
wouldn't
watch
take that
Dark
off the
Angel?
table.
Go watch
I
it.
could be saying no today, and tomorrow we could be calling in the.
You know the brethren from Supernatural? One of them's on that show
conversation
from
with,
99.
General Vance as well a few weeks ago. I just want to thank our men and women that serve our country and the reservists as well, just willing and ready to come in there and support Ontario and the rest of the country any way they can. They're absolute champions, and they're ready. And when the need comes, be it tomorrow or the next
artificial
day,
flavor and color. Why?
We won't hesitate.
Why do you need carrageening, color, artificial flavor, or salt?
To come in.
Why is there salt and sugar in the same drink? To make you put more sugar in.
Thanks. And a question for Minister Elliott.
When they put sugar in the salt, the ones are salt, so you're always putting more salt in. Yeah, that's a nice trick.
Sometimes more than 10 days for results. Can you give us an update on how testing is going? What's the holdup for people that are waiting a long time to get their results, and perhaps why the process hasn't been accelerated?
Well, there was a situation a week or so ago when we did have a backlog of cases. We had about 10,000 cases that people were still waiting for results, but we've dealt with that.
Sounds like the rape
and we have significantly increased the number of tests we're able to do. We went from 4,000 to 8,000.
Memphis got Tennessee,
we're now doing around
don't you have like
9,000,
115,000 rape kits or
within
something?
the next week or so. So people should not need to be waiting 9 or 10 days anymore. They should be receiving their results within 24 to 48 hours.
That's
so
how
I
she asked
suspect
for.
that might be a historical issue because we are up to date in our testing and increasing the number of tests that we're doing every day.
These noodles suck, Campbell.
And you've been listening to Premier Doug Ford, along with some of his cabinet ministers, including Health Minister Christine Elliott, give the daily update on COVID-19. Now, he began by addressing the mass shooting in Nova Scotia, saying his heart goes out to the families of the victims. He then addressed the latest COVID-19 projections in Ontario, released by health officials earlier today, that show we have hit the peak of the virus and we are flattening the curve thanks to our public health measures, both big and small. Premier Ford says in the last couple of months, we've faced the ultimate test. We were asked to make great sacrifices to protect our most vulnerable. And he's proud to say we've stepped up in a big way by listening to the experts. And it's thanks to the collective efforts of everyone that we're avoiding the worst case scenario.
Let him say all this
today's
shit.
new modeling shows some light at the end of the tunnel. The numbers clearly show the steps that we've been taking are working, but we can't let our guards down now, saying the virus still represents a clear and present danger. Premier Ford says his government is working on a framework for a gradual safe lifting
Did you catch that
of the
one?
restrictions and
Do I have to
reopening
point
of
it
the
out?
economy, but nothing will move forward.
Is that Tom
That's the advice
Clancy?
of our
And if
Chief
it's not,
Medical
how
Health
far off
Officer
am
and
I?
COVID-19 task force. He says restrictions will, of course, stay in place for now.
This one
We're going to bring you more from the provincial update coming up at the bottom of
Whatever
the
the
hour.
fuck this is plastic coated. They were all lead a couple years ago.
Who knows how long? Let's take stock. TV, check.
I'll go into the scrap bin. We're not giving a fuck.
What about the con
Turn them into bullets, breakers. That's it. That's all we get. It was on when I came in, eh? Fuck. I don't know how long they were talking.
Watch Hot Docs at Home on CBC. Catch world premieres.
You didn't mention nothing about a stupid vaccine that I heard.
Hot Docs at Home on
Somebody must have called me up and said, "Dog, you gotta stop talking about shit that don't exist, right?"
Our 680 News is giving you the opportunity to pay it forward to our healthcare heroes. Brought to you by PC Chef from President's Choice. Nominate a deserving healthcare worker online for their chance to win 5 well-balanced PC Chef meal kits to thank them for the essential work they are doing. PC Chef helps you put a chef-inspired meal on the table in minutes. Recognize and keep
I'm
our
confused.
busy and deserving
They're working
healthcare
7
heroes
shifts,
nourished
7-day
for their
shifts, right?
heroic work ahead. Pay it forward today at 680news.com/heroes.
We have an update now on a coronavirus outbreak at the Meehan Manor long-term care facility up at Yonge and Davisville. Councillor Josh Madlow now saying 18 residents have died and 50 have tested positive. The facility says 14 staff members have also tested positive for coronavirus.
I think I might have the wrong building.
Self-isolation.
Might as well have been the same
COVID-19 have been reported in 112 long-term care homes in Ontario. 66 of those are here in Toronto. Well, as you've been hearing, one of our top stories today, Ontario health officials saying that the community spread of COVID-19 in this province appears to have peaked. Ontario Health CEO Matt Anderson says our public health measures are working.
What we've been able to do, and when I say we, I mean all of us, everybody listening, everybody who has participated in the public health initiatives, you've made a difference. We are now at a place where our pink bar, the ICUs, the actual use, is trending better than our best case scenario.
And the latest modeling releasing today showing that there are two types of outbreaks happening, community spread and long-term care spread. They also predict there'll be fewer than 2,000 COVID-19 cases during the pandemic, much less than 20,000 COVID-19 cases during the pandemic, much less than the previous forecast of 80,000. Well, coming off the in 60 seconds, we've got Chris McCusker standing by with the latest in business, keeping an eye on the price of oil, which has gone negative for the first time ever.
680 News Time, 225.
License 10349. It's a slap in the face. Your bank refused your mortgage. Don't get mad. Call Northwood Mortgage.
It's $8 or $11. Last week it was free, but today we're 3 times as much. What the fuck?
Northwood Mortgage does everything they can to approve the mortgage you need. That's their business.
People lose money on oil all the time, don't they?
NorthwoodMortgage.com.
Introducing Irwin's new Command Lock Tape Measures, built for extra control with a finger break, up to 14-foot reach, and a high-contrast DuPont Mylar film-coated white blade. Plus, it comes in a high-impact resistant case. When every quarter-inch matters, these tapes are designed with your job in mind. New Irwin Command Lock Tapes, built for the trades. Available only at Canadian Tire stores across Canada. Find out more at irwintools.ca.
Silicon dioxide.
Time now for the 680 News Business
Silicon dioxide, really?
With Chris McCusker. Chris keeping an eye on oil today, and oh boy,
it's crazy. We've got the price for
may
oil
contain milk and
negative.
mustard. No,
It's
go
down
back. Silicon
135%
dioxide.
right now to minus
Imported. Oh, I didn't realize.
And oil really has been under a fair bit of pressure recently as traders are still assessing this massive glut, which was brought on in part by a huge drop in demand because of the pandemic. There is just too much oil right now, and there is nowhere to put it. Tim Pickering is the founder and CIO at Auspice Capital.
The pandemic brought this on. 3 months ago, it made the price happen today.
It's 40 million barrels of crude oil are on their way or landed in the U.S. Gulf. This is import barrels from Saudi Arabia to the United States.
Why?
So think about that. There's still oil coming towards the U.S.
Yeah, it's a 3 month, 6 month fucking trip. It's not no fucking instant thing.
Why?
Because
you're gonna sell natural gas, Mr. Drama fucking teacher. We're gonna sell natural. You can't even get your hands on the natural gas on our land without us shooting up your paramilitary force. And yet you're gonna sell gas to the Chinese who just got a pipeline from Russia, and they don't like you personally because of this Huawei thing. Oh, they don't like you personally. They like Canada. Canada full of Chinese. 1/3 the population Chinese. Minority, eh? Fuck you. You're not the minority, pussy. 1.5 billion means you're not the minority.
2028. Gold is higher by $7.1705, and the Canadian dollar down 0.6 cents, 70.83
You're not going to sell natural gas by boat to China. When the boat gets there, they're going to say, we don't feel like letting it in the port. Give it to us for free. You ain't going to have a choice.
And the NASDAQ down by 46.
Because some stupid ships are only going to be built here because you're going to finance them. Nobody's going to build those things. They're going to make money. They look like they're going to explode.
And while you've adapted your daily
routine, they're going to tip over and explode. That's what they look like.
We've done the same. At Toyota, we understand that for some, mobility is a necessity. That's why we're doing everything we can to keep Canada moving forward.
I don't need to move. I'm good right here forever. I'm a goddamn Barney. Get out of here. I'm good.
Contact your local dealership.
You might look at a cannabis edible.
Almost reach the water. I can almost reach the window. I'll be fine.
Like a gummy bear, but with an unpredictable high and delayed effects. It's not as innocent as it looks. Much like a puppy with a samurai sword. Or the doll that came to life in that horror movie. Come to think of it, pretty much any doll makes me a little anxious.
Are you watching
those eyes?
Those Japanese, Canadian kids cartoons?
I think it's kicking in. Learn how to talk with your kids about cannabis edibles at drug-free-kids-canada.org. God, my hands are enormous. How do these get through my sleeves?
Or whatever, and then dub.
Taking a look now at Jill Taylor's forecast. Plenty of sunshine and breezy this afternoon. A guaranteed high of 7 degrees.
Good.
Tonight is going to be windy. We are looking at some increasing cloud and expect some rain late in this evening. And overnight as well, blow down to 3. Right now in downtown Toronto, we got sunshine and 5 degrees. The News Watch never stops. 680 News. We are live 24/7. I'm Steve Roberts. Have yourself a great afternoon. Hey, it's 2:30.
Number 1 for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Here are Sledgena Music and James Monroe.
Good afternoon. This is Monday, the 20th of April.
Here's what's making news right now.
New projections from the province show community spread of COVID-19 appears to have peaked, and we're on track to hit the best case scenario. But health officials stress people need to remain vigilant because there's still a long way to go.
In his daily briefing, Premier Ford praising Ontarians for helping avoid the worst case scenario in this province, but doesn't mention any possibility for reopening Ontario right now. Unbelievable loss in Nova Scotia. Each other wake up and realize the nightmare was real in the wake of Canada's worst mass shooting.
Question period underway
as the House of Commons. You keep flashing the same fucking thumbnail up every time I look away. What the fuck? What are you showing me?
Plan for reduced sittings.
I can do that too, eh?
Bayern
I can crop images up on your screen too, eh, pussy?
Alfonso Davies and the Blue Jackets have signed
I have to pay attention to you to do that, though. I don't feel like it.
Unprecedented moves in the energy markets. The price for oil goes negative for the first time ever. It's negative $8, and the Dow slides 400 points. Business at 50.
What the fuck are you talking? It didn't go from 11 to minus 2. What the fuck are you talking about?
This report is brought to you by Ruth's
It's not the
Chris
first time
Steakhouse.
ever
We have a few
since crude oil
major
started
right now.
here in fucking Ontario with the shit oozing out the ground. They had to dispose of it. It costs money to get rid of. So it ain't the first time ever,
So it's just
pussy.
a single right lane getting
Fuck, I
through.
hate these white
And as a
boys.
result, that backup starts as you're approaching Nikola Tesla. It's really
Oh, you
heavy
didn't
through
know
the
that?
stretch.
The shit started because it
Eastbound on
oozed out the ground on
403
its
as you're
own.
approaching the 401 and the collectors, the two
We
left lanes are
told you
closed
the
for
earth living, you
construction, so
don't
traffic
believe
is
us.
backed
No,
up from
not all
Eglinton and the
Indians.
collectors.
Ignorant.
We have a
Fuck
new problem
me,
on the
this, a
eastbound
Micmac.
401
You
as
don't
you're
listen.
approaching the 427 and the
You
express.
can't dig
The right
holes
lane
in
is
that
blocked by
shit.
MTO crews. There's
Why we
still
don't
bus
bury
on the shoulder,
bodies.
and it's in the process
6
of being
feet
hooked
deep.
up
You
to a
might find
heavy
3
tow.
fucking air
So it
pockets.
starts to get bunched up on the eastbound 401 just east of Dixie in the express lanes. That's it though for the eastbound 401, just that one slowdown. Westbound on the 401, not seeing any delays, but there is a ramp closure. The northbound Allen ramp to the westbound 401 collectors is shut down, and that's a long-term project until November. We just had a problem clear on the westbound 401 near Mississauga Road, so delays into Mississauga are quickly improving. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse would like to wish their guests the very best at this difficult time and also remind you that takeout and delivery service are now available online. Place your order at ruthschris.ca. And now with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
We are in for a cool stretch of weather. At least we'll have the sunshine today. The wind out of the southeast, the guaranteed high just 7 degrees. For tonight, we'll drop to 3 degrees. Some showers late in the evening and overnight. For today, the guaranteed high 7.
Sunny skies in downtown Toronto and 5 degrees. This is 680 News.
Despite a significant jump in the number of daily cases reported in Ontario, models suggest community spread of COVID-19 in this province has peaked. More than 600 cases in Ontario today, just over 30 deaths.
However, as community spread lessens, 680's Mama Qureshi tells us there's a growing number of cases in long-term care homes and similar settings. He joins us live. Mama.
Yeah, it's almost like two simultaneously different scenarios. One is that the community spread of COVID-19.
It's the same fucking idiot. Who do you think's throwing their gloves and masks on the ground where you're fucking finding them getting sick from it? That's community spread. From these idiots. ESW, a high school course. A high school course. It's not even community college.
So it's important when we talk about peak.
Unless they change it. I don't think
we're
they
now
do.
hoping to see a reduction in cases as we go along.
Now, early in April, the projection was that we would hit about 80,000 cases. Now it's looking closer to 20,000 cases, heading towards what health officials say is likely the best case scenario. Now, the other side of this is what we've seen in long-term care homes with the rapid outbreak in so many homes across the province. That continues to be a major issue. More than half the cases of confirmed COVID-19 are coming out of those long-term care homes. Dr. Barbara Yappi says, while the peaking of the curve and the fact that it seems like we're getting to the top and then should soon see a decline at some point, hopefully soon, does not mean that people can relax.
That's the definition of
stick with their social distancing, stay home, and continue to wash your hands.
When we do start to lift some of the measures, it will not be a light switch, on off. It will be very gradual, and we will have to measure the impact of each change as we make it and make sure that we're not seeing more infection as we lift it. Because once we lift it, it will be very hard to go back.
So the main message here is to keep doing what you're doing, maintaining that physical distancing and staying home as much as possible. Reporting live, I'm Owen Qureshi.
This is 680 News. Premier Ford praising Ontarians for doing their part to avoid the worst case scenario in this province, but he maintains COVID-19 as a clear and present danger.
5 million people on assistance from the government
from the Ford government this
overnight,
afternoon.
like in 1 week.
Well, that's right, Agenda. Premier Doug Ford says, yes, the modeling numbers do show light at the end of the tunnel, but he will not speculate on when restrictive measures might be lifted and when Ontario's economy might be restarted.
So I just do not want to put a date on this. I really don't, because this could bite us in the backside in about 10 seconds.
And when measures like physical distancing and closing non-essential businesses are finally lifted, the Premier does not want to see a second wave of COVID-19 coming as a result, and that would force the measures to simply be reimposed.
Yeah,
we
simply reimposed.
Be prepared if we have to impose them again. But obviously, that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure at the beginning we do this thoughtfully, carefully, and do it in stages, maybe 2-week stages.
And the Premier says there's no interest in lifting measures and focusing on the economy centered in Toronto first ahead of any other sector of the province. The Premier recognizes that people are getting restless and antsy and that they want to get outside, especially with the very next weather coming up. But he says it's not worth it. If you could just wait a few more weeks, 2 more weeks or more, then it'll be so much better. Reporting live, I'm Mark Douglas.
This is 680 News to Nova Scotia now, where the RCMP say they're relatively confident that they've identified all the crime scenes in yesterday's deadly mass shooting. Here's 680's Irene Precklett.
We are getting a glimpse of the lives lost. Heather O'Brien was a nurse. The other victims include RCMP Constable Heidi Stevenson, a teacher, neighbors of the suspect, and 2 correctional officers. Nova Scotia RCMP Chief Superintendent Chris Leather says the suspect knew some of his victims, while others were randomly targeted.
Numbers are currently at 16 crime scenes in Portapique and other communities in central and northern Nova Scotia.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau offering support.
We stand with you, and we grieve with you.
RCMP say at least 19 people were killed, but they expect to find more bodies in several homes that were burned to the ground. I'm Irene Precklett. In the wake of the worst mass shooting in Canadian history and amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and peace have been forced to return to the House of Commons for regular business. This after political parties failed to reach an agreement on reduced sittings.
MPs are debating a motion from the government to limit parliamentary sittings to 1 in-person gathering a week and 2 virtual sittings, a proposal every party agreed to originally except the Conservatives, which denied unanimous consent and forced today's regular sitting with limited numbers. Even with physical distancing advice, Conservatives want at least 2 in-person meetings a week to hold the government to account. In question period, Leader Andrew Scheer using the moment to challenge the government on its response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
How many new ventilators has the government been able to obtain under the National Procurement Strategy? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we've sent 400 ventilators to provinces and territories and have contracts with 3 Canadian companies who will supply 30,000 ventilators starting in May.
Ford, Chevy, and Mercedes-Benz,
Conservatives for forcing this in-person session today. The Prime Minister says in the wake of the tragedy in Nova Scotia, it's not the day for partisan attacks. If the Liberal motion passes in a vote after question period, it would implement the new parliamentary proceedings until May 25th. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
Breaking news from the energy markets. Price of oil continues to plummet, has fallen below 0 for the first time ever. 680
give me oil free? I don't believe it.
Yeah, we're inventing some new math here this afternoon, James.
No, you're not, you pussies. Math is a language that's
per barrel, down 154%, meaning you would have to pay someone to take barrels of oil off your hands. This is because there is literally nowhere in the world left to put oil. It's literally sitting on tankers right now.
Stupid.
Immediate delivery.
Oh, you're going to need to build barrels.
For West Texas crude. It's refined into gasoline and jet fuel, and we're not really using much of either right now. Should be noted the June futures contract for oil, which kicks in tomorrow, trades around $21 per barrel. That's a more accurate price for oil. There's a lot of questions about what's going to happen with gasoline. The price of gas is not changing tonight in Toronto because it never does on Monday. It's going to hold at 82 cents. We could be in for a sizable drop on Wednesday. You got to remember the Canadian dollar, though.
All of a sudden, the price never changes. I'm like, want me to go see if it's still 74 cents? I bet you it's 75 or 73 or something.
680 News.
I guarantee it's not the same price as yesterday.
It's all about the numbers.
They change it throughout the day,
more
man.
than 3 degrees.
They got multiple fucking shipments coming in every day.
Continues to grow.
Enter at 680news.com.
To the nurses and doctors who doubled their shifts.
To double their fucking money. Oh, double your money.
Those who keep the lights on and the food coming. To all frontline and emergency workers, Subaru dealers salute you. In fact, while we continue to provide essential services
why you
to
got a
all
diesel?
Subaru customers,
Honda's got a diesel Civic, 2.2 liter turbo.
Because that's how we'll
Why don't
safely
you have
plan
one?
every appointment. From your Ontario Subaru dealers, let's
Detroit
all
diesel,
stay safe.
jam it in there.
On city streets, construction delays on Finch, both ways between Sentinel and Keele. Broadview down to 1 lane both ways south of Danforth for TTC track work.
City Streets was brought to you by CapitalDirect.ca. Low rates save money for homeowners.
Now the 680 used gas price update, as you just heard from Richard, and pro predicting the price will not change at midnight. We should stay at just under 83 cents a liter.
This is 680 News.
83, 74 here. Somebody's not going to be. Don't change on Mondays.
By closing 6 of our locations and not taking on new patients. We're taking extraordinary measures to keep one location open so that we can continue to monitor those already well on their way to starting a family.
So what do they mean? It don't
Canada's
change
back up and
Sunday
running
midnight,
strong. Count on
12:01 Monday,
Fertility Centre
or
to be
Monday
there,
midnight,
helping to
12:01
ease the
Tuesday?
financial
Which one do
burden
they
of
mean?
IVF treatment. Until then, New Life wishes you good health. Stay safe.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you want. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck. We're open for business. 2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
Oh shit, what time is it? I got to call the phone company.
News time, 2:41.
Traffic and weather to get on the ones. Here's Carrie Brunskis.
This report is brought to you by Subaru Canada. We have a major backup on the Toronto-bound QEW. There's construction approaching the Burlington Skyway. The 3 left lanes are closed, so it's just a single right lane getting through. And as a result, it's jammed from just past Red Hill Valley Parkway to the Burlington Skyway. So avoid that stretch of the Toronto-bound QEW. Eastport and Beach Boulevard both moving along as good alternates. Eastbound on the 403. First off, we have construction at York. MTO reporting the right lane closed. So that's heavy out of Hamilton, eastbound 403 as you're approaching York over towards Highway 6 North. And then in Mississauga, eastbound on the 403, approaching the 401 in the collectors. The 2 left lanes are closed for road work. So the delay now from Eglinton in the collectors. Eastbound on the 401, that problem approaching the 427 in the Express is cleared. We just had a brief problem eastbound 401 east of Yonge in the Express. The stalled vehicle just got removed from the scene there. So no delays on the eastbound 401. Looks to be like a good drive. Westbound on the 401, not spotting any delays. There was a ramp closure, though. The northbound Allen ramp to the westbound 401 collectors is shut down for long-term construction, but you can still get on to the westbound 401 Express. Ontario Subaru dealerships are standing by and ready to help with your essential automotive needs. Keep taking care of each other, and Subaru will take care of you. And now with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
We are in for a rather cold stretch, back to single-digit highs this week. The guaranteed high today, 7 degrees. Plenty of sunshine, though. The wind out of the southeast. We'll get into some showers late tonight, overnight, some flurries as well, and the possibility of more flurries tomorrow. The high only 5 degrees. The wind very gusty out of the west-northwest. For today, the guaranteed high, 7.
Sunny skies in downtown Toronto, 5 degrees.
Now the Dynamic Funds Market Minute to the Business Center. Here's Richard Southern.
Hey, so Janet, good afternoon. Of course, the big headlines here, they are big regarding the price of oil, something we have never, ever seen before. The front month oil price has gone negative here this afternoon, and we're talking down $35 per barrel now. Oil's down 300% on the May contract, which expires tonight.
Yeah, reservations. When you start calling up and ordering barrels of diesel.
It's the June contract you got to look at. It's holding around $20 per barrel. The Dow is down 447 points, 23,795. S&P 500 falls 1.25%. Bay Street holding up okay considering what's happening with oil. The TSX is down just 17 points, 14,342. And the Canadian dollar is down to 70.79 cents US. This is 680 News.
Research shows that investors who work with an advisor accumulate 3.9 times more assets than those who don't. Advice matters. Now more than ever. Learn more at dynamic.ca/advice.
You cleaned out the closet, reorganized the basement, and feng shui your living room. Now it's time to get outside and tackle the garden. During this time, it's time to get the soil and resources you need. So let's mess up.
The soil resources? Oh, I gotta call the fucking phone company, right? Oh, you think I'm gonna call
Lucky isn't gonna play like that. You gonna stiff and you gonna stay like that.
I'm gonna call the government right now. I'm gonna get somewhere. They refuse to work after 2 o'clock. They said, oh, after 2 we hand out checks. Every day of the fucking month they're handing out checks. Really?
I'll show you one time. Force it to
One person to hand out a check, eh?
I'ma show you one
time.
It's like this. Then it's over for you clowns and you forfeit your time. Torture and burn. Kill it over once.
You let go of it. And let them walk away with it. No. You let go of it and you take it. One person, you do the 2 at a time, eh? You do 2 at a time, eh?
But your goons and I whip slow creeping, hopping out, blast up the flow decrease. These ain't cats that blasted for no reason. They ride for the cause, blasted them low kickings, blast of a dying breed. You don't wanna die and bleed. You won't perish finally. If you see the iron squeeze, time to leave. Shit is gonna get lucky. No miracles, you ain't gonna get lucky. It isn't gonna play like that. You gonna stiff and you gonna stay like that. Lay right flat, you gone. Bah, it's a homicide. Family and your mama cry, permanently traumatized. On the grind and the murder rate is on the rise. Only the strong survive. Strong survive, you gone. Bah, it's a homicide. Family and your mama cry, permanently traumatized. On the grind and the murder rate is on the rise, only the strong survive.
That's why we end up doing other people's taxes.
Waiting for the rush, keep the 40 tough. Talking about you let the 40 ball nigga story up. Corner hot phone tap out.
We know that they know whether we get it right.
Street walking. A deep option is to get the beat popping. A peace offering went to saying rest in peace hopped in. Sleep coffin 6 feet, death is a must. Arrested and cuffed, prison ride next is a bust. The road cold, but the paper keep us warm at night. With more faces by the ace, but we pouring the light. Tunnel vision, eyes knock, all I see is a dollar. Piece of shit in the mirror, all I see is my father, fuck him. The game got us all twisted in the hurricane. Lost my mind when the crime came and the murders came. So all my niggas getting bread on the grind. There's no bail when you're locked doing federal time.
I'll spend some of it back on this stupid
your mama cry, permanently traumatized. On the grind and the murder rate is on the rise. Only the strong survive. Strong survive, you're gone. It's a homicide. Family and your mama cry, permanently traumatized. On the grind and the murder rate is on the rise. Only the strong survive. Strong survive. Motherfucker to come
move the lock, what's illegal too? How do you do that without
empty the strip. People fleeing rain.
you can't go in that room? That's federal property.
Legal James, no options available. Coppers are tailing you.
Ask your employer what I'm talking about.
Penny Chinchilla, do cushion a glass jar. Cocaine moving dope faster than NASCAR. Trying to earn hard, but you crash in a
check. I'm always right. Leave me alone. They see that on the computer. Hey, it's already clear. They see it on the damn computer already.
I take a bullet for my fam, I'm my brother's keeper. It ain't about no music, the struggle's deeper. Drugs and tweakers searching for the best rock, trap house, T-grams, crack man, next shot. It's a homicide. Family and your mama cry, permanently traumatized. On the grind and the murder rate is on the rise. Only the strong survive. Strong survive, you gone. It's a homicide. Family and your mama cry, permanently traumatized. On the grind and the murder rate is on the rise. Only the strong survive. Strong survive.
I got a better idea with my tangerine. Let's see if I can fix my goddamn phone. exactly. Oh yeah, I let it run till the battery died, and then settings changed and applications changed. Oh, what the fucking deal is? I just start this. Okay, we can start that right now. Imagine that. That was the app that was open. That's where my head is at.
Jump in the water, speed that flow. Don't go against that flow. Speed that flow, speed that flow.
Please consider using your cellular or another Wi-Fi network. You can't seem to establish a secure connection.
Speed that flow, just jump in that water.
Compromise security of your personal
Speed that flow, speed that flow.
You could just say offline. You just said offline.
Speed that flow, don't go against it, God. Speed that flow, jump in that water. Yeah. Speed that flow, speed that flow. Yeah. Speed that flow, jump in that water. Speed that flow, speed that flow. Yeah. Don't go against it, be that flow. Speed that flow, don't go against it, speed that flow. Jump in that water, speed that flow.
Slice a piece up in the Dutch pot. Curry chicken on the stove top. Shout out niggas from the stove top. Niggas talk but sending gunshots. My Aki suffers from my picture slip. The place run down with the shit from good. Shout out niggas at a driftwood. The shit's way beyond crip blood. Toronto born and raised. Toronto born and raised. They was never ready. Every single day you would be amazed. Living how we live, young niggas grinding stuck up in a maze. Told my nigga Charlie, we can get this money, make it different ways. We don't call him no shit, we ain't call him no bitch. But I got a full clip and I better
go. I get called Charlie too, I don't know why.
And they get it with kids, you know that I flex niggas. Lift them up how I bench niggas, better get back on that defense nigga. But it's gonna rat leave a stench nigga. I guess we on the offense. Charlie like Jordan, Scottie Pippen, better listen on a mission, wishing, hoping that we find a way to beat the competition. Niggas switching, cotton picking, walk with bitches, it's different, you know, slipping back for business. Wait, let me slow it down. Still full circle, I go around. Wait, never thought my city was a murder town. Ride like a dungeon dragon. Ran from the cops and my pants were hanging. Used to do dirt in a station wagon. Get locked up in the station flagging. 03, I got to raise the Magnum. Bringing out the beast like a Hugh Jackman. Join the team like some new draftsmen. To get the rope like how they do in Hangman. Jump in the water. Speed that flow. Don't go against that flow. Speed that flow. Speed that flow. Jump in that water. Speed that flow. Don't go against that flow. Speed that flow. Just jump in that water. Yeah. Speed that flow. Just speed that flow. Jump in that water. Speed that flow. Speed that flow. Don't go against it, God. Speed that flow. Jump in that water. Yeah. Speed that flow. Speed that flow. Yeah. Speed that flow. Jump in that water. Speed that flow. Speed that flow. Yeah. Don't go against it. Speed that flow. Speed that flow. Don't go against it. Speed that flow. Jump in that water. Speed that flow.
Oh, even my screenshots make a shutter sound. That's useful. That's very useful. No, I'm not taking pictures of you. I'm just copying documents. I'm ready for war.
Fighting my inner demons, like what's the meaning of it all? Cause I don't know what to believe in. The reason I'm breathing seems to be misleading. But fact is, I do this for a living. Look what I'm achieving. I'm on the bigger and better things, still I'm dreaming. I'm feeling like a diamond in the rough, still gleaming. I can see you feeding for it when you notice what the deal is. The realest to do it, so don't deny it. You feel it, I kill it every time. With a militant mind, I drop bombs when I rhyme. You can feel it on the front line. Prime time lyricist, yeah, I've been killing this. I do it for the love, and you can feel the thrill of it. Despite it all, I'm on the road, going high grade, doing 100 down the highway, sitting sideways on the road, smoking on the coast by the ocean. Imagine if I put it all in the open.
For my iPhone, 719.
Yeah. F4TG. Where you fresh. I'm from the streets where them niggas don't talk to the cops. On the hip, niggas know they walk with the Glock. Any type of beef, then they pop in them shots. Like nigga better get out of the way. When I shoot, I don't miss, okay. 719 nigga all day. Niggas want what? Well, who? I swerve through, I hop out. The clip long, the bullets pop out. You see that nigga? He shaking, looking like a mental patient. Nah, nigga, I ain't got no patience. You see how the case shaking? It sound like an earthquake. You can get earth today, nigga. His name is Dave. It's real shit. When we pulling up, pop shit. I hit him up. Don't give, nah, one fuck. You hear me screaming? This shit is real. I don't even need a fucking record deal. Niggas all know I got a street deal. Empty out the whole clip, know it's real. Motherfucker. Empty out the whole clip, know it's real. Boy, TG, nigga. My murder gang niggas. Shiny boy, nigga, you hear that? Murder gang poppin', something like beer caps. Cocaine chopping, nigga, that pure facts. Never let the ox win, blocking like airwax. They hear that? Looking back, couple of niggas in there for made it. When we dropped this shit, knew a couple of niggas that hate it. Ticket to the day after birth, that's happy belated. See it different mothers, but niggas always related. Yeah, they hear me. Rolling with killers, I know they got me though. See us in the streets, will never take us for poppy show. Holding on his hammer is heavier, so we lock it low. 40 cops singing, it's like it's been in an opera show. You know, the run top, we on fire. Going downtown on the street car named Desire. Marlon looks up for still, he's on the wire. His whole crew looking like a choir. Niggas singing, yeah, white like Mel Gibson. Pitching, made a shortstop like Cal Ripken. Flipping, prison out white like Don Christians. Nipping on this pig farm like Rob Picton.
I'ma still shine light on your grave and send shots to them boys who threw third on your name. It's no lie, better run when them shouts are jacked. It's 7-5, but I still fuck with hella sets that are alive. I needed 10 bands, so I moved southbound. Never took the niggas back, but I left some shell sound. Views were begging for the rock, dedicated to the wops. Built friendships because I was getting to the wop. And me and 19, we were setting up the shop. I was moving shit quick while I was shepping up the shop. Our cooperation led to an operation, and all everything we did was always beneficial for the squad. Trapped all day, yeah, I trapped all day, and I got it out the mud. You could ask Trap God J. Just left me, nigga. Don't tempt me, nigga. Nigga, slap it on the song. I ain't no 10th Street nigga from the old school. No ski mask, we wore nylon. And feds getting me posted on the corner like a pylon. King Cobra can knock the scales off a python. Creeping through your crib, you better sleep with the lights on. Nightmares was always seen stepping out the front door. The black was a war zone. What you think I keep a gun for? Try to battle me and my team, nigga, you done for. A crowd of niggas, that's what a young boy on the pump sport. Ride, my nigga, just ride. Beat it on him right now. No gloves when you done, give the eyes a wipe down. All day I dream of those straps. We got stripes now, but don't get ahead of yourself. They knock your lights out.
Shopping and services. That's a pretty generic category.
S&P 500 down 1.6%, the Nasdaq's down 64 points. The Canadian dollar in retreat. The loot is down half a cent to 70.75 cents U.S. Top stories just seconds away, right here on 680 News.
Hi, it's Tony Chapman, host of the podcast Chatter That Matters. Thanks to the incredible support of RBC, we're focusing on the heart of the Canadian economy, small businesses. We'll travel across Canada, meet different owners, learn about their dreams and what's happened since COVID-19 has shut down our economy.
We shut down our economy? Look how much you're spending on fucking
They want to put the
masks.
future of healthcare in the patient's hands. But with COVID-19, no one can focus on the future. Does Health Hub and Paul have the financing resilience to wait it out? Our experts weigh in. Download Chatter That Matters wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks again to RBC for your support of Small Business Matters.
Checking the 6 City News regional weather conditions. In Markham, sunny and -1. Brampton, sunny and 0. Milton, sunny and +1. Oakville, sunny and +1. Hamilton, mainly sunny, -1. Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge, mainly sunny and -3 degrees. Downtown Toronto, it's mainly sunny at the moment. We're at 5 degrees, factor in the wind, and it feels more like 1 degree. The News Watch never stops. 6 City News is CFTR AM Toronto. It's 3 o'clock.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are James Monroe and Slajana Tominzis.
Good afternoon. It's Monday, April the 20th.
Here's what's making news right now.
Health officials say the community spread of COVID-19 appears to have peaked, and we're now heading towards a best-case scenario. But stress there's still a long way to go, and people still need to practice physical distancing.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says despite the improved modeling numbers for COVID-19 within the general public, no social distancing and other measures will not be lifted early.
Behind the names are the faces, the lives lost, the ripple effect from Nova Scotia shattering families as the reality of Canada's worst mass shooting sets in.
19-year-old Alphonso Davies has extended his contract with Bayern Munich, and the San Francisco 49ers might be looking to trade down twice. Sports at 15.
Crude collapse. The price of oil dips below zero for the first time ever. The Dow slides 550. Business at 26.
6 City News Time, 3:01.
Traffic and weather together on the ones now with Toronto's most frequent traffic reports. Carrie Brunskas.
This report is brought to you by Roto-Rooter Emergency Services. It's still a terrible drive on the Toronto-bound QEW. We have this construction on the Burlington Skyway. The 3 left lanes are closed, so it's only the right lane getting through, and as a result, it's jammed on the Toronto-bound QEW as you approach Nikola Tesla to the Burlington Skyway. So plan an alternate. You'll find Eastport or Beach Boulevard moving along much better. If you're coming out of Hamilton, eastbound on the 403, MTO reporting some construction at York. That's taking out the right lane, so it's still going in that area. Eastbound 403 through Mississauga, though, looks to be back in great shape. They've wrapped up the construction east of Eglinton in the collectors, but MTO saying they're going to be closing the right lane now on the eastbound 403 at Matheson in the collectors. I don't see that set up just yet, so just a heads up on that. Eastbound on the 401, it's lightly traveled across the city, not spotting any problems. And the westbound 401 is also in good shape. There is a ramp closure, though. The northbound Allen ramp to the westbound 401 collectors is shut down. That's a long-term construction project until November, but the express ramp is still wide open. If you're traveling the westbound QEW, 2 construction spots. At the 427, the left lane is closed. Then through Winston Churchill, the left lane closed there as well. But a good drive on the westbound QEW. No delays in either spot. Roto-Rooter is fully prepared to continue to serve you in this difficult time to help with any of your drain, plumbing, or disinfection needs. Contact them 24/7 online at rotorooter.com. And now with a look at the forecast, Natasha. Oh, it's a nice bright blue sky, but quite a chill in the air out there.
Oh, you want to chill, do you? Okay,
I don't want it. It's just there.
I know. I'm telling you, if you want to keep us home, I just have to say the word flurries on April 21st because that's what's coming tomorrow. We've got flurries, rain, wind, and cold on the way tomorrow. This evening's pretty nice, 9 p.m. temperature, 5 degrees. But overnight, after about 3-4 a.m., we get into a little bit of light rain. That tapers off in the morning. We'll start off at 6 degrees, then fall to 3, wind chill -3 by the afternoon. Those winds fierce, especially for the first half of the day, up to 70 kilometers per hour out of the northwest, and we do have lake effect flurries in play through much of the day, especially through the traditional snow belts. Watch for reduced visibility at times. We'll likely see some flurries, but no accumulation downtown. Overnight tonight, temperatures down to about 4 degrees at midnight. It is currently 5 degrees at Pearson.
680 News Time, 3:03.
Well, we begin with some encouraging news on the spread of the coronavirus. The latest numbers suggest community spread seems to have peaked. The projection now for 20,000 cases by the end of the month. That was down from earlier models showing up to 80,000.
680's Moment Qureshi joins us live with the latest. Moment.
Yeah, that's right, Slajana. The numbers show that what we have been doing with the social distancing, staying home, washing our hands, that all seems to be working right now because the latest projection numbers show that we have peaked in terms of community spread?
Peak is important because epidemics follow what's called Farr's law, which means that they essentially have a symmetrical shape. And so as you come up, you peak, and then hopefully cases diminish down the other side of it. And so that's important when we talk about peak, to make it clear that we're now hoping to see a reduction in cases as we go along.
Now, even though we have peaked, Dr. Barbara Yappi is stressing that the reason that the peak is happening now is because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you have to keep doing it for some time.
You know, we have to remember that the data we're seeing today reflects the infections that happened over 2 weeks before, probably 3 weeks before, because people get sick, they have to go get tested. The incubation period between exposure and infection is up to 14 days. So we have to give it time, and people have to really stay the course for now.
But while community spread seems to have peaked, there's still an issue. The main issue, the bigger issue, is what is happening inside long-term care homes, where the numbers continue to rise rapidly. There has been spread in so many long-term care homes around the province. The province did announce new measures to try to curb that spread, so we'll see if that works in the coming days and weeks. Reporting live, I'm Oman Qureshi.
That's the 680 News. Premier Ford says he's asking health officials for a structure going forward that could see the economy gradually reopen. But he's also reminding us to stay the course. 680's Mark Douglas joins us live with the latest from Doug Ford. Mark.
And James, the main themes of the questions to the Premier today were simply, if the modeling numbers for the general public at least are so much better than before, when can protective measures be lifted, and when can Ontario's economy be restarted? Ford refusing to put a timeline on that, saying COVID-19 could come back and, quote, bite us in the backside in about 10 seconds.
And I know people get anxious and rambunctious, but over waiting a few more weeks? I'd rather wait and be, and be safe rather than just opening it up.
Minister of Health Christine Elliott agrees, saying Ontarians have to remain vigilant.
We are in the midst of a journey, and while we now have our destination in sight, we haven't yet arrived. No amount of easing up or taking shortcuts is going to get us there faster.
And the Premier adds Ontario's chief medical officer has never told him that measures could be lifted for the general public while still maintained around long-term care home protection. Ford says when the economy does restart, it will be done so in stages, perhaps 2 weeks at a time, and economic sectors within Toronto will not be prioritized over the rest of the province. Reporting live, I'm Mark Douglas.
This is 680 News. The country is coping with the worst mass murder in our history. 19 known victims in addition to the shooter, more than a dozen crime scenes. 680's Irene Precklin has more on those who were killed.
Well, how many other people fucking called them up?
Jolene Oliver's sister says she was killed along with Oliver's 17-year-old daughter, Emily Tuck, and her husband, Aaron Tuck. Aaron had posted this video about why staying at home to battle COVID-19 was so important.
Have a good time with your family. This is what it's all about. Never get this chance again.
Nova Scotia RCMP Chief Superintendent Chris Leather says there are 16 crime scenes.
It appears that some of the victims were known to the suspect, and others were targeted and not known to the suspect.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau with this message.
We are so sorry for your loss.
RCMP say more than 19 people were killed. In addition to the shootings, there were 5 fires, and they expect to find more bodies. I'm Irene Precklin.
MPs have been forced to return to the House of Commons for regular business after the parties failed to reach an agreement on reduced sittings.
Question period just wrapping up, and soon there will be a vote on a Liberal motion to put in place what most parties had agreed to in the first place: 1 in-person sitting a week and 2 virtual sittings. Regular business had to resume today because Conservatives denied unanimous consent, with leader Andrew Scheer arguing there should be at least 2 in-person sittings each week.
Frequent accountability sessions in Parliament get better results for Canadians.
The NDP, Greens, and Bloc Québécois criticizing the Conservatives, saying they're holding Parliament hostage and putting the safety of members in danger by trying to force multiple in-person sittings during a pandemic. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau believes there will be a resolution today.
To demonstrate that our democracy is strong, that our institutions need to function, but that we can do so in a responsible way.
If the Liberal motion passes, which it likely will, the new rules for weekly sittings will stay in place until May 25th. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
This is 680 News.
The Salvation Army thanks its frontline personnel and volunteers who are working tirelessly to provide essential services to the vulnerable during COVID-19. As this pandemic continues to impact our communities across the nation, the Salvation Army is adjusting its programs and services to bring help and hope to those who need it most. Join us and support our neighbors in need. To donate, visit salvationarmy.ca or call 1-800-SAL-ARMY.
City streets Broadview down to a single lane south of Danforth at Wolfrey because of TTC track work, and we've crashed an overly west of Don Mills at Thorncliffe Park Drive. Crews are on scene. Now, 680 News gas price update. Enpro predicts the price will not change at midnight, but a change will be coming. The latest straight ahead.
This is 680 News.
So, you're stuck inside for, well, who knows how long. Let's take stock. TV? Check. Snacks? Yep. Couch? You better believe it. What about a con artist, food scientist, a walrus whisperer, and one of the biggest documentary film festivals in the world? No? Well, you're in luck. Watch Hot Docs at Home on CBC. Catch world premieres and new docs every week without ever leaving the couch. Hot Docs at Home on CBC. Thursdays at 8 on CBC and CBC Gem.
David Jones here from Hire the Gardener. COVID-19 has brought a lot of change. I hope you're coping well. Many have asked me if we're still open. Absolutely. The grass will still grow, weeds will still need picking, and the gardener is still 100% committed to maintaining and beautifying the 24/7 view from your window. You don't have to come near us, but you can definitely wave to us. Talk to us at hirethegardener.com. Take care of your home, and let's all take care of each other.
680 News Time, 311.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Carrie.
This report is brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Toronto-bound QEW, that is by far the slowest route right now, heading out of Hamilton and into Burlington. It's all due to construction. Toronto-bound on the QEW at Eastport, the 3 left lanes are closed, so just the right lane is getting through, and that backup starts just past Red Hill Valley Parkway, and it is extremely heavy getting through this construction zone. Once you're past it, though, it's wide open on the Toronto-bound QEW. Looks like delays have eased off on the eastbound 403 through Hamilton. MTO still reporting the right lane closed for construction at York, though, so just watch out for that. If you're traveling the westbound 401, just west of the Allen and the Collectors, the 2 right lanes are closed for construction, and there is no access to the westbound 401 Collectors from northbound Allen. Only the express lane is open. That collector ramp is closed for long-term construction until November. A couple of lanes blocked on the westbound QEW as you head through the 427. The left lane is closed, and at Winston Churchill, the left lane is closed there as well. But no delays on the westbound QEW. It's moving along at the limit. If you're traveling city streets, Broadview is reduced to a single lane in both directions south of Danforth, and that's for TTC track work scheduled until the end of the week, but only minor delays there. St. Louis Bar and Grill thanks you for supporting local businesses, including your local St. Louis restaurant, through takeout and delivery. Their deepest gratitude goes to the first responders keeping us all safe. And now with the forecast, here's Natasha Ramsahai.
All right, Carrie, we've got some rain incoming. Now, it's not going to start until around 3-4 o'clock in the morning. A couple of millimeters worth, tapering off early in the morning. And we're going to hit our low around midnight. That's 3 degrees, rising to 6 by morning, and then falling again through the day. It's going to feel like -3 by the afternoon. Very windy tomorrow, so anything loose outside your house, just make sure it's secured before you go to bed tonight. We've got gusts up to 70 kilometers per hour out of the northwest, and lake effect flurries likely. Going to be some visibility issues for Carrie Prescott to deal with tomorrow out on the roadways during the traffic reports. That's going to be on and off through the day. Wednesday, partly cloudy and 6 degrees. Tonight, we're down to a low of 3 degrees at midnight. It is currently 5 degrees now at Pearson.
Now the Dynamic Funds Market Minute to the Business Center. Here's Richard Southern.
And James, breaking news on the price of oil. It has just closed down 300% at negative $37 per barrel. Yes, negative. For the first time in history, oil has dropped below zero and again is down to minus $37 per barrel, meaning that you would have to pay someone to take barrels of oil off your hands right now. Demand for Texas tea has evaporated as people drive less and basically don't fly at all. This is the May contract. Should really note that the June futures contract for oil is $21. That's a more accurate depiction, but this really underscores the issues facing the energy market. No gas is not going to change in Toronto tonight. It never does on Monday. It's going to hold at 82.9 cents a liter. We could see a big drop on Wednesday. We'll have more in the next few minutes for you on 680 regarding that. TSX right now, it's down just 12 points, holding in at 14,347. The Dow is hurting, though. It slides 569 points. The Canadian dollar is trading at 70.77 cents U.S. This is 680 News.
In times like these, we could all use advice, especially when it comes to investing. Advice matters now more than ever. Speak to a financial advisor and learn more at dynamic.ca/advice.
My name is Aaron Waxman, and in times of uncertainty, we can take solace in the fact that those that we care about, our family, our friends, and those in our community are safe and are practicing physical distancing and staying at home. At my firm, I've encouraged staff to work from home and to follow the guidelines to staying safe. I know these are difficult times, but we can take this moment to reflect on how much we have to be grateful for.
So now
I
we're
wish
going
you
to
and your
fucking
family only peace and good health.
sports, right?
Your safety is our #1 priority.
How come they never have like a math minute for kids or a francophone minute? It is business minute and talk pure shit for a minute. That's what they do. Time fever. That's a cough. It's still. Your connection is unstable. My menu is good. My bars. I got horizontal bars. Vertical bars. The bars come bars. I got the mold bars. I got the normal bars.
Real hard in the kitchen, whipping up that freaking to the real hard. Bitch, I hustle real hard. Bitch, you hustle real smart. Bitch, you hustle once a week. Bitch, I flipping Rick Ross. Whip it real hard in the kitchen, whipping up that freaking to the real hard. Bitch, I hustle real hard. Bitch, you hustle real smart. Bitch, you hustle once a week. Bitch, I flipping Rick Ross every day. Grinding hard, grinding big, you grinding small. 38 revolver blows, I'm watch people can kill them all. I'll be down to kill a dog. Work him with my fucking blow. Once he dead, go find this bitch. Stop flirting with his fucking hoe. Working with this fucking hoe. I'll be on my fucking shit. Blow like a revolver. Take 6 shots, you dead, ain't need a clip. I got a light that's on I know that it's good. I got a light that's on I know that it's good. I got a light that's on I know that it's good. Quiet. Real G's don't talk much. Never lie, you won't hesitate to pop one. Got hollows by the bag, try to stop one. Fuck around and catch a hot one from a shotgun. I'm a hot one. What your bitch say? Flow hard, stay sharper than a switchblade. You's a bitch made. Man, I make bitches. Triple R, I ain't fucking with no fake bitches. Real recognize real what's good. Get money and I'll bring it back to the hood. Ask me how I'm doing, probably tell you real good. But I ain't stopping till I'm fucking gripping Bale's wood. And I ain't stopping till I'm fucking bitches in my penthouse. One Lambo, one Rari, chillin' at the penthouse. And a jail locked up, better free the homie bitches call me sand. Cause I got that Desert Eagle on me. I got a light to the I know that it's good. I got a light to the I know that it's good. I got a light to the I know that it's good. Shout out to DJ Mike Soul, DJ
Craig, DJ Despair, Winnipeg, Nightlife Radio DJ, Las Vegas Smooth, yeah. Real DJ, stand up. It's a yearly wrap up, my early wrap up. I get up and drop a bag on. Yeah, it's a yearly wrap up, my early wrap up. I get up and drop a bag on. Yeah, it's a yearly wrap up, my early wrap up. It's a yearly wrap up, my early wrap up. It's a yearly wrap up, my early wrap up. Back it up, I'll get shot up. Then after all the rappers go down to the wire, such a show still culture vulture, apply pressure, True Santana, strong arm and air I might be busy best time, and that ain't right, cause I'm like those guys, DMC just snitch like DJ Academics, even Tory Lanez might be facing bedtime like Trump lawyer on the court's order. Cardi B got that threat, cause she wore a blood bandana dress, nigga. Fuck you haters, I ain't lucky well, they're bothering black kids for no reason. They don't fuck with me cause I'm different and listen. My early probation just ended, taking jail chances, but I thought got locked up and going back, that's fact. Texas racist car that killed Sandra Flynn. Now the court wanna settle for 1.9 million, man. Ain't enough for a lost woman, let it kill 4 this year. Cannabis killed none, 97 people got killed in 2018. The government will never learn. It's people that make other people crazy. Double XL think I paid to grab. Go eat trash. My favorite light skin is a sellout. Young niggas chasing clout, trying to be loud. That's loud. 50 help 6'9" till the feds got involved and he like screw that kid. Nigga, what the fuck? Black guys and fucking kick that nigga's fucking sweet. 50 called DDK cause he says gay shit. He locked up Meek and the world was cheese. Made an example of Cosby, but what about Trump? He's chunk in a trunk like Harvey Weinstein. Open your EYE, niggas dropping like flies, dropping addies online. Since Cardi left Offset, that nigga looks stressed like Kanye West standing beside Donald, building a wall. They don't care about the world falling apart. The power that be, 1/4 of the world gone. Stock only with 25% survival rate. No way, Jose. Think like a man, not a boy. Tory Lanez, Kettle Royce, Drake beefing with everybody. Living in the six, shit's crazy. Keep 6. My family turned it back on me. Walton, I was there for you, cuz when you owe niggas money for crack, wanted to kill you, I saved you. You ungrateful fuck. Put Nadim and Liz in the same vein. You're fucking ignorant. No wonder why Mervin, my cousin, keep his distance. And me too, my brother Ken's the evidence. The evidence is a challenge. Learn to balance. It's my early wrap up, the early wrap up. It's my early wrap up, the early wrap up. Back it up and drop a bag on. It's the yearly wrap up. It's the yearly wrap up, my early wrap up. Back it up and drop a bag on. 2018, yearly wrap 2018 recap, wrap up, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. For 2019, fuck fake friends. For 2019, fuck your fake views, your fake belt, because you're a fake fuck. You're a fake wife because you're living as part of family problems. Part 3 on the way. Yeah, family problem part 3. Kill celebs, dead celebs on the way. Yeah, nigga.
On both sides. Man, it's easy on the mic with you now, man. Straight to your heart.
Yeah, I was getting pretty upset there. Now pretty strong, man. Now we're fucking late. Holy shit. We don't fuck around. We don't. Exhaustions, their bones, the elbows connected to your fucking head.
Nigga, what it is? Nigga, what it ain't? Talking all that shit, man, ain't even step in the paint. You niggas be trying to be what you niggas really ain't. Full of all that noise like we driving in the tank. Got a couple of when they see you, they gon'
oh, I know some music got big freaking bags of weed. And other times it's all have problems and roaches and shit. Let's go, right?
When I shoot it, I'm gonna block the one who really give a fuck.
You want to perfect right now?
I'm gonna bust your ass on the fuck. I don't want the cup, like what's up? Come with better chip before the shit get real. Got the shooters down the day with jump off you just like a pill. When I pull up at that nigga score, hop out like what's the deal?
Why is it so quiet and why is it the wrong alarm? Oh, my system bar came back. Maybe my status bar will come back. Oh, there it goes. So there's some sort of weird subroutine that keeps cutting out and cutting back in, like right now. So I don't know. There's some weird subroutine cutting out and back in and shit. Could you please bring back the goddamn... I can't turn it off now because of what you just did, eh? You dumb motherfucker. Yeah, sit and listen to that, stupid. We're gonna hack your shit and irritate him. You're the one listening to beeping, bro. I tried to shut it off. My menus just fucking disappeared while I was trying to use them, man. This ain't some old person that don't know how to fucking hit the fucking thing and it's going wrong. This is fucking bullshit. I don't know why that was square. That was getting burned first. Oh, the fucking back. Oh. Are you gonna stay up or not? Can I get rid of this at least? You dumb cocksuckers. Thank you. You brought it back. Yeah, it is irritating. What do you get? $18 an hour to watch this shit 3 times? Oh, you only have to watch it once? You should be milking this shit, you dumb cocksucker. Give me back the system bar. Thank you. Who the fuck were you?
I'm just running around town. Shooting 100 rounds. I got trees, and you know I got a bounce. We them Zoes, nigga, won't fuck around. Like what you saying, J? I got a chopper, best believe you gon' be laying, J.
You're not listening to who's fucking rapping? That ain't a rapper, eh?
Gotten Dracos, gotten choppers, yeah, we spraying shit. Yeah.
You don't speak English either.
Niggas send fucking addy. We can shoot away you rap. That's so down the blow, down the pole in your cap. You be on the go, but when they smoke, we gon' attack. We gon' tap, and that's for sure, y'all. You gon' get smacked. You already know, y'all. She fuck with me, cause I'm a soldier, and I keep that 40 tuck like I'm a soldier. Fuck y'all niggas out there, y'all think about some real shit, man. Fuck niggas, bro. Man, I run up on the real soldier. I ain't definitely I'm in the game, so you know I got it stick. Shoot you in your shit, my niggas down and let it rip. Run around Palm Beach with that bitch on my hip. The next nigga got an issue, they go down and take a trip.
Stand down.
No, this ain't no game. We be really touching, yeah, we got them things. Nigga, you can't hang cause you a fucking lame. And if I catch you sleeping, we gon' shoot you in your fucking brain. We ain't aiming at nothing, but your dome. Like, nigga, leave me alone before I hop out with the chrome. Get all these hundreds, nigga, I don't need no loan. And if you rapping with no action, we gon' pull it to your home. Man, y'all ain't ready for this shit. You feel me, man? Shout out to everybody out here, Palm Beach, you feel me? Straight easy on this bitch.
These people with cars that are so desperate, they come down to see if they can cash out the empties and then fucking give up, buy beer, because they have money for beer and a car. But they got to make a big show and talk about how they're going to do it later because it isn't worth their time to hang out. Oh yeah, making fun of people. They got to do a big show and talk. They got to do a big show and talk about how it's not worth their time to do it. But they won't leave it there. It's like $2. But they won't just leave it there for somebody or donate it to charity or something. They got to put it back in the car, pay the gas on it twice to get it home and back. You know how heavy glass is? You dumb cocksuckers. You look super successful. All these guys fronting in the fucking empty return line like there's something. Why are you standing in a 45-minute line to get $8, bro? Oh, I brought in $45 because I didn't pick up no glass, pussy. Oh. I would have got $4.50 at the spin. These guys are arguing with each other over how the scrapyard will pay this because it's food-grade tin and shit. It's not tin, it's aluminum. And scrapyards won't buy it. You have to have contracts with certain companies to do that shit. That's why the beer store handle it. That's why they pay 10 times the price to keep it out of that fucking market. That's why they don't want it in the fucking recycling bins for the city, because it'll all just get smelted down and turned into extruded or some bullshit. And you gotta take new aluminum, quote-unquote new aluminum to make cans. You don't want to do this shit over and fucking over. You make fluoride. Why would you want to produce fluoride? Fluoride costs money. Tori, why are you fluoridating the water? It doesn't do anything. 25% of the water leaks out of the fucking ground. You don't have the right to give me medical care against my will, and it doesn't stop cavities. It's been proven by the ADA to increase the rate of caries. Since the 50s, they've been watching this. 70 years, they've done the studies. The American Dental Association says artificially fluoridated tap water increases caries. Right, Tori? I thought you went to post-secondary. You didn't read the fucking studies? Pussy-o. The fluoride that builds up in water heaters and corrodes them. This should last 25 years, they last 18 months. It's toxic waste. You're not allowed to handle it without a respirator, and they're literally scooping it by hand into the fucking water. Some random garbage in here. Throw this green shit in the water. It's like Kool-Aid, buddy.
I got some dogs to attend, trying to see the light, but they ain't coming home tonight. I got some dogs doing life, trying to see the light,
Look at the plumbing in any jail or police station. It's stainless steel and it's still corroded all the shit with this aluminum shit. How's that possible?
Anything that fucking need, hold you down until you're free. Hold you down till you're free. Hold you down till you're free. I know that you sacrifice.
My boy's not getting out anytime fucking soon.
Yo, Jeezy, what have you been gonna see you, man? Look, been out from the grind for the minute, trying to get it out. I've been getting it. These niggas have been sweating it. Don't get out the bed for when I phone a nigga begging it. I'm way ahead of it. I'll ride upon a nigga letting it off. When it comes to this rap shit, I've got this. And so is Jeezy low. Man, a greasy folk. I'm out for them notes, but I still keep it close. Case a man try to provoke. That's 5 shots through his throat. Listen, if you know, then you know. I'm still on running roads, shotting hoes, stashing knives in me clothes. If it's not your beat, don't get involved. We ride out to slap a nigga down, and no cases getting sold. Listen, I'm the shooter, you're the victim. I rode out with him and told police I went with him. I gave me boys, but I'll tip slopes to the loot. I said that's what I do. The next day, went and clipped him. I'm back on it. Make this got the shotty. Said I don't want it. I've got nowhere to put it. Plus it's out of bullets and I hate them shotguns. Cause when it's beef, I've never got nowhere to stuff it. I'm riding out with things with bullets that expand. If a hitman by the barbers, he go land by Panland and he lost. So don't act like you found man. Pay bills for deposit. You want that brown tan, listen. I'm trying to stay low off the radar from poker because I know they want me so. They're still trying to find me from crimes that I did years ago, but I don't even give a fuck. I got fined once, they hit me with some threats, talking about they'll take the shit if I didn't pay the debt. You gotta cheat. Little fucking threats. Tell them Jeezy, straight Liverpool. You know what it is? Show these niggas how this rap on my side. Yo. I'm like, bang, bang, shot, fly, like found in the park again. So
look like an angel with the darkest sins. You can't fly with the prophet wings. So I had to watch him sink like a Gnostic shit. It's like I built it on my own, no partnership. I did it solo. Nigga, this my nigga, so I shot it up solo. Words to my finger, the clip spilled for the fofo.
The ideal size of your circle is 1. The public health people are saying it.
If I don't have it, then I know it's the sniper. See where I'm from? Maxwell got the toilet got sliver for a man, turn your liver to a polar blood. It's that.
Let's turn this way more. Would you be doing this?
And the thing gets stashed in the backfield. And I'm like, niggas been snaking and all that. You know I'm a boss. I took a break, but I'm taking it all back. Handles done smooth, pump short, cause I saw that. Guns with suppressors like I'm ready for combat. Yo, A-Star, all these fuck niggas beyond that. It's one phone call, 7 niggas in all black. We ready, nigga. Hot back and blow deadly, nigga. Stays in my hand, can't talk it, it's too heavy, nigga. Yeah, hot back and blow deadly, nigga. Stays in my hand, can't talk it, it's too heavy, nigga.
Fucking hour to kill. A couple ideas. This is obviously not. No, wait, what is it? Yeah, okay, maybe. No. This will be Earth Day.
Nothing on my wrist, nothing on my neck, nothing on my fist, it's all on my check. Don't you get the gist? I got the confidence, don't need a brand on my chest. Hey, I know what my value is. Hey, wealthy people don't need jewelry. Hey, look at 21 Savage and Bill Gates. Hey, rap industry got a complex. I turned reality into a lucid dream. I turned a lucid dream into whipped cream. Cash rules, nothing around me. I only use it for paper planes, actually. I'm the opposite of Microsoft, I'm big and hard. Let that resonate, maybe a little more. I got that lyricism sprinkled with a lot of flow. I made my sauce authentic on a chopping board. Baby, it's spicy, be careful. Don't shake the bottle too much, be gentle. It's kinda high in the Scoville level. Don't burn your tongue, don't get it in your eyes too. I turned reality into a lucid dream. I turned a lucid dream into whipped cream. Cash rules, nothing around me. I only use it for paper planes, actually. Self-care, yeah, I got a lot of that. No food tastes good as having a six-pack. You should cut your snack same way you cut that crack. Then you wouldn't look fat as a Cadillac. Baby, looking like a snack. I can see you did them squats on the squat rack. I don't need a beat, I don't really need a track. You can be my producer with your booty clap. I turned reality into a lucid dream. I turned a lucid dream into whipped cream. Cash rules, nothing around me. I only use it for paper planes, actually. Baby, keep your pants on, zip tight, locked off. This is not the time for you to rack it up. We be in court, the judge is getting cross. You robbed the bank, baby, you took your mask off. You took 100K and left it at my front door. Thought it was funny, nice joke. Cause you know I bail you out no matter what the cost. I need that flavor, baby, shit, cause I got the sauce. Cause I got the sauce. I said it cause I got the sauce. Shit, cause I got the sauce. Shit, cause I got the sauce.
You were issued $512.40.
This is ironic.
Why don't you come around here and I'll make you feel right at home? From the couch to the floor, we'll be in the zone. Let's get it on till the dawn arises. Kissing in the midst of the prairie horizon. Honeymoon chemistry is what I'm feeling from you. A perfect love story with a rough draft prelude. I wanna make it right and follow right through. Honey, breakfast in bed is something I can do for you. Take a mango from the tip of my tongue and I can get it done. So baby, give me some and I can give you some, then we can go from there. Keep it PG, but you see what I mean. Let's go for a walk, let me walk and trail and watch.
Did you see my phone number already?
Get rocks by the river and sit on the beach. Quiet times in the city can never be beat. So baby, you can do your thing and I can do my thing. No, we can do a thing. Say baby, you can do your thing. So do your thing and I can do a thing. No, we can do a thing. It's showtime, your time to shine. Escalating at a pace, got no time to be blind. I get it, got it good. You're doing what you shouldn't. Let me tell you that you ain't misunderstood. I'm doing my thing and you're doing yours. Making life happen and dreaming of the world. You're dreaming at the end, I'm dreaming world tours. And I think it's very sexy when you show me your full force. Undressing, caressing, get the best of me. I can be your best friend if you let me see what you believe. Honestly, the perfect life could be. Then honey, I'll support you in the front row seat. And baby, you can do your thing and I can do a thing. No, we can do a thing. Say baby, you can do your thing. So do your thing and I can do a thing. No, we can do a thing. Baby, you can do your thing and I can do a thing. No, we can do a thing. Say baby, you can do your thing. So do your thing and I can do a thing. No, we can do a thing.
Zero. You just told me. Press zero.
Family problems, we know how to solve them. Friends problems, we know how to solve them. No love, no love, no love, that's what I get, huh? Walter was a crackhead, always a crackhead. Remember when you owe money to those Asian guys who are real lucky. They from the 90s and they know me. You trying to shoot you with a garbage shorty, that's what you told me. I came to want you all to sleep you to bitch you. Never judge you for smoking hard, told you I used to sell that's crap, your family member. Nowadays, you finally change, you're acting insane, always talking about money. You ain't rich, dude, your fancy cars don't impress me. I've been there, done that, Fairfax, ruckus like Carlito, the way your niggas is big. My cousin Liz is a fool, didn't come when we invited you, fuck you. Think you're the hardest, but when you're actually the weakest. Family problems, we know how to solve them. Friends problems, we know how to solve them. Family problems, we know how to solve them. Friends problems, we know how to solve them. Yeah. It's rockers. It's rockers. It's who? Family problems, we know how to solve them. Friends problems, we know how to solve them. Yeah. My friends love me. That's all I need. My friends love me. Liz didn't come to the family reunion last summer. Fuck you and your lover. I'm over it now. I wear the crown, respected everywhere. But you never there. Not even poke. Who you try to provoke? End up getting choked. This is you control. The big friends in the same garbage. Big knowledge. Bitch, I'm a problem. 30 years involved. If you cross that line, that's right.
A lot of opportunity for spacing.
With a good heart. Special them all at first, and they turn into I don't know
what. Kids in the cooler or anywhere in school, you have to leave space for each one. You can't put them side by side because the rats don't like to come out in the open.
Stuck in the slum, connected like the mafia. You don't know nada.
My opinion, you let cats run through there.
The answers, getting more from strangers. Fans been holding me down. I got the juice down. Holding me down. I got the juice now. Family problems, I know how to solve them. Friends problems, I know how to solve them. Family problems, we know how to solve them. Friends problems, we know how to solve them. Yeah. put up the kids, man. I don't even know, man. I don't know what it is. Yeah. All my family members in Montreal, y'all missed my last year, 2018. Biggest show for 2018. Fuck out of here, man. All I needed, even my friends too, I'm saying, my ex-friends, I'm saying, all I needed was support, know your fucking money, know your toys. Okay, master. Fuck it, I got my whole shit.
Right now it is 5 degrees and it's Pearson.
Yeah, no
Now,
law,
the
no
dynamic
law,
Thomas
no law.
Market Minute to the Business Center. Here's Richard Southern.
Again, coming up here on the end of the trading day, the TSX is down 58 points, 14,301. Not that bad considering what's happening in the energy markets. The price of oil going negative for the first time in history. U.S. May oil futures closed at negative 37 bucks per barrel, down 300% as demand evaporates.
Yeah, but is anybody buying them like that just because it says
Dow
that?
Jones Industrial Average down 541 points at 23,700. S&P 500 is down 1.6%. The Nasdaq's down 75 points. Canadian dollar at 70.78 cents US. That is your market minute. Headlines, sports, and more next on 680 News. Research shows that investors who work with an advisor accumulate 3.9 times more assets than those who don't. Advice matters. Now more than ever. Learn more at dynamic.ca/advice.
For many of us, life as we know it has been put on pause. And while you've adapted your daily routine for the benefit of those around you, we've done the same.
Not really.
At Toyota, we understand that for some, mobility is a necessity. That's why we're doing everything we can to keep Canada moving forward while respecting social distancing guidelines. To find out
I can pay you back. It's right every fucking day for people I don't know. I can pay you back. Who the fuck are you?
And you gave me something to eat.
I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink.
The Scott Mission has been helping Toronto's hungry and homeless since 1941.
Who these fucking people are?
And they really need your help, especially during these uncertain times.
And this is why when I start these videos, I'm all fucked up, man.
And ensure that everyone who comes
For
to the
fuck's
Scott Mission
sakes,
is
come
warmly
on.
welcomed by people who care. Make your gift online today at scottmission.com/hope or call 416-923-2400.
You can have that piece.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
Clear and sunny in downtown Toronto at the moment, 5 degrees. Feels more like 2 when you factor in the wind. Good afternoon from the 680 News Broadcast Center. I'm
5 degrees when we still have wind. We have wind chill at positive temperature.
Modeling numbers for Ontario now pointing towards the light at the end of the tunnel, with community spread apparently peaking.
You can't do modeling anymore because you can't have more than 5 people in one place.
Premier Ford says his government will keep reevaluating the situation every couple of weeks to avoid an even worse second wave. And in Nova Scotia, 16 crime scenes have now been identified in a mass shooting that's left at least 19 people dead. RCMP say they expect the number of deaths to climb as they investigate each location.
Time now for 680 Sports.
What about the people that burned to death? You got whatever happened to them? Like, that's not worse than getting shot. I'd rather be shot than burned to death.
Munich has been pretty much
Anybody would.
seamless, and today Canadian
I'm gonna
star
set you on
Alfonso
fire. I'm
Davies
gonna
signed
set you on
two-year
fire. Give me a gun.
extension
I'll
with
shoot
German
you.
champs.
You
Davies
strike
now
the
on
match,
contract
and I
for
will
the summer of
squeeze the trigger.
2025. No financial details have been announced. Meantime, the German Bundesliga could return as early as May 9th.
Happening now, Mayor Tory and city health officials holding their daily break.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I forgot. I was waiting for that. Oh,
In
Jesus.
Toronto. This includes 3,343 confirmed cases and 339 probable ones. There are 262 cases hospitalized, 99 in intensive care units. I'm sad as well to report that we continue to see deaths in our community. In total, 181 people have died of COVID-19 in Toronto. I offer sincere condolences to everyone who has lost loved ones or friends to COVID-19. My team continues to work very hard to provide more timely and detailed COVID-19 data to the public. Data are at the core of the COVID-19 response in Toronto. This information helps us understand what is happening in our city and informs our actions to reduce virus spread and prevent deaths. It also helps us to see whether public health measures like physical distancing are working and when and if we need to change our approach. Last week, I committed to providing you with an update on our local COVID-19 data story. There are 3 parts of this story: the number of people currently infected with the virus, the simultaneous COVID-19 outbreaks in our city, and finally, where our story goes next. The first part of our story is the number of positive COVID-19 infections at any given time. This figure helps us understand and prepare for demands on our healthcare system. It also tells us if public health measures are working and when they might need adjusting. Given the recent provincial changes to testing guidelines, particularly in our long-term care homes, we will see this number go up in the coming weeks as more people are tested. While this may be unsettling, it is not unexpected. More aggressive testing is critical, particularly in long-term care homes, as it will help us to identify infections sooner and support our long-term care homes to implement stringent outbreak control measures faster. The second part of our data story is that there are 2 distinct outbreaks within our city. One in our broader community, and the other in congregate settings, particularly in long-term care. These are distinct because they occur amongst 2 different populations with different risk factors for acquiring infection. We also see COVID-19 infections leading to different outcomes in these 2 settings. Looking at our data, we can see that hospitalizations for COVID-19 have been driven by cases in our broader community. On the other hand, deaths in our community have been driven largely by the COVID-19 outbreaks we are experiencing in our long-term care homes. In addition, the actions we must take to protect people in these 2 settings are also different. In our broader community, the data collected informs physical distancing measures and other public health actions. In long-term care homes and other settings where people are in close proximity to each other, data informs specialized infection prevention and control measures and more outbreak control measures, such as the comprehensive long-term care action plan that was recently released by the province. To ensure that you continue to be informed, my team continues to post new data online about outbreaks in local long-term care homes and retirement homes. This will be updated every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The final part of our data story relates to where we go next. This is informed by the use of data models to help us gain a better understanding of where we are on the curve of pandemic activity and where we might be going next. Our data modeling shows us that we are currently in the peak period for our reported cases. The COVID-19 case doubling rate, which captures the number of days for our case counts to double, has slowed over the past 2 weeks. This tells us that pandemic activity is slowing down, and this is good news. The province has increased testing capacity and will be testing more people, especially in long-term care settings. So we can expect to see more positive COVID-19 cases. While this is important for our understanding of how the virus is spreading, and it is also important in supporting better implementation of virus control measures, with this change in testing, it is difficult to project how many more cases we will be seeing. Another data point we continue to monitor to understand where we are on the COVID-19 curve is hospitalizations. There is good news here too. We haven't seen the dramatic surges in hospitalizations that we originally feared. And in fact, the number of new hospitalizations each day has started to decrease. All of this information taken together should be considered with cautious optimism. We are seeing our curve flattening because you are washing your hands. You are staying home. And you are keeping a safe distance from your friends,
she's breathing
your
out,
families,
puckering her lips,
and other
blowing
loved
spit,
ones.
and blowing
As
extra
difficult
air
as
across
I
her
know
vocal
this
cords when
is.
she does that.
I do
She
need
got a
to
Hindu name.
stress
She's white
that
as
the
fuck.
only
British all the way to
way
the bone.
we will continue to be successful is if we continue to keep these measures in place for more time, and for everyone to continue to do their part by staying at home.
We can hear that, you know.
Another update I've been asked to provide is on the situation occurring at the Willowdale Welcome Center. As of this morning, there were approximately 74 positive cases of COVID-19 in this setting. In closing, I applaud the province for the stronger measures they have implemented to support vulnerable residents in congregate settings, such as long-term care homes. We need to further strengthen these measures in long-term care homes, and I encourage the province to ensure that appropriate policies and resources are in place for these settings. This action will support optimal infection prevention and outbreak measures to ensure that these residents are getting the best care possible. Another congregate setting we need to consider is our shelters and respite centers. Earlier this year, our city recognized housing as a human right and as a key determinant of health. Everyone in our community deserves appropriate housing. In response to the COVID-19 emergency,
vectors, all of a
the
sudden it's a
collaborative
problem.
efforts of many partners and
Oh, when they were
community
fire
agencies,
hazards, you could just run down there and ruin all this shit all the time.
many people out of congregate
Write a bunch of
settings
tickets
and
that'll never get
establish
paid.
them in more sustainable housing. This is a remarkable achievement. We must continue to build on this momentum to best protect the health of people in our city experiencing homelessness. This is not just for COVID-19, but it is also for the many other negative health impacts associated with homelessness and underhousing. All health, government, and community partners must continue to be united as we all have a valuable role in fighting virus spread. Working together is the only way forward. We continue to learn new information about this virus each and every day. We need to be open. We need to stay open to working outside of our comfort zones. We must be nimble and armed with empathy to respond and adjust our actions as new facts are confirmed. When we are divided, the virus gets through the cracks between us. Please remember that the most important thing you can do right now is to continue to stay home, stay safe, and take care of each other. Thank you. I'll now turn it over to Mayor Tory.
Thank you, Dr. Davila, and good afternoon.
Probably makes more sense
May
to
I
you.
begin today by expressing my condolences on behalf of the people of the City of Toronto. I know all of the people of the City of Toronto, to the people of Nova Scotia following the tragic violence of this weekend. And we join you in Nova Scotia in mourning the loss of RCMP Constable Heidi Stevenson and all of the other innocent lives that were taken. This is clearly an act of evil, and I hope that in the coming days there will be some answers as to what happened and why, to help the families and the friends of the victims as they grieve.
Oh, that's interesting. That means the fridge is off too, eh?
want Nova Scotians to know that Torontonians, all Torontonians, have them in their hearts. I want to thank Dr. Davila for today's update and shared her cautious optimism. All of the efforts that people have undertaken, based on her advice and the advice of all public health.
I finally got my phone set up how I want.
It only took 8 years. The curve, but the job is not yet done, as you've heard from her today. I want to thank every resident who is doing their part to fight the virus, just as we all continue to thank our healthcare workers and people working shelters and other people who are doing these essential jobs for us as part of the fight against this virus and its devastating effects on those who become infected and on their family members and others. The message is clear. We've come a long way. I know it hasn't been easy for anybody in Toronto, but we're now in a better position to win this war. We will win as long as we stay the course.
Stay the course.
And we're on the right course now to stop the spread of COVID-19. And we will be ready when we have won to put forward and to move forward with a careful plan to restart the city and launch Toronto's economic recovery. As part of our ongoing response to COVID-19 as a city, we've been working to redeploy city staff to areas where they are needed most, including places like our long-term care homes and our shelters. Close to 500 staff have already been redeployed into roles in our long-term care homes, our shelters, and helping, for example, to answer the phone and to answer emails at the 311 call center. Over the weekend, we were able to reach an agreement with Local 79, one of our unions, the members of which serve us so well, as a guide to redeployment. And today, we reached a similar agreement just today with Local 416, one of the other unions that represent so many of the people that serve you and serve us here at City Hall. These emergency framework agreements establish some guidelines on the reassignment of staff and for Local 79 members in particular, in the event that they can't be redeployed, provide for temporary leave procedures that protect employees' positions and certain employment benefits. This agreement is fair to Toronto residents and it is fair to the members of our city staff. It also ensures that we can quickly move to put employees where they're needed right now to help in our response to COVID-19. I've said many times that this is an all-hands-on-deck effort to
all hands on deck. Do you know what that means,
and
bro?
To save lives. This agreement will make sure that it is all hands on deck in key city services as we move through these next critical weeks. It makes sure that we continue to deliver all of the critical and essential services that Torontonians rely on during this pandemic. Both unionized and non-union staff not assigned to essential or critical work and who have roles that cannot be done remotely will be the first wave to receive a redeployment survey. There'll be about 1,900 of those people. This survey will give staff an option to opt in to redeployment or to opt out of redeployment. Those who opt in will be reassigned according to the needs and demands of our COVID-19 response efforts. Those who opt out will be assumed to be requesting placement on emergency leave. Emergency leave will provide those staff members with access to employment insurance or the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, as well as the same health and dental benefits in which they're currently enrolled, including OMERS, if applicable, and continued accumulation of their seniority. However, they will not report to work and they will not be paid their regular pay. Every effort will be made to accommodate staff who opt in to redeployment but have specific needs. For those who cannot be redeployed but who have agreed to be redeployed, they too will be placed on leave, but they will get a wage top-up beyond the employment insurance or emergency benefit amounts to which they would be entitled. I'm extremely proud of how our workforce is stepping up during these extenuating circumstances,
clear and
now more than
not
ever.
even joking.
And I want to thank them for helping their city when it is needed the most. I'm also extremely proud of how the vast majority of our citizens are stepping up to do everything necessary to defeat this virus.
Disposing of
Let's remain
garbage.
positive. Let's combine continued self-discipline with hope. And if we do, the nightmare will come to an end.
Free food
Much
to
sooner.
faster.
I'd now like to invite Chief Pegg to deliver an update from the Emergency Operations Center. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor Tory, and good afternoon. Our Emergency Operations Center continues to operate 7 days per week.
ensuring that both critical and essential services are being provided without interruption. I extend my sincere thanks for their tireless work each day.
Little bastard was clear
At
and
present,
copper.
our personal protective equipment levels remain
Comes
stable,
back every 3 weeks.
and our team continues to work
shit like
hard
that.
to source the equipment that we need on a go-forward basis. I expect to provide additional PPE updates later this week. I'm also pleased to report that the supervised injection site at 277 Victoria Street, also known as The Works, reopened on Saturday.
It was closed.
Our team in the Emergency Operations Center worked very closely with Toronto Public Health and other city partners
those people
to ensure that this facility was able to reopen.
Don't tell me they
and
can't be
is able
gathering
to
there
operate
because they're
in
going to
a
be gathering
safe
in the street
and
anyway.
effective manner. The current construction on
Everyone
Victoria
was telling
Street and the installation of the construction fencing in the area required the development of a comprehensive operational plan that took into account the health and safety of both our clients and our staff at the site. Clients can now attend the Works supervised injection site between the hours of 1:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. from Monday to Saturday, and between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Sunday.
That's when everybody
These services are accessible by appointment only and will be provided from within 2 private booths in 30-minute appointment increments.
30 minutes.
Prioritizing the continued operation of this site is part of the city's continuing efforts to ensure that our most vulnerable residents are being cared for during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, the people at risk of catching
The
diseases
Emergency
from these
Operations
assholes'
Center is
needles.
finalizing a number of proactive
all everywhere.
contingency plans for high water levels in
They
Lake
steal
Ontario.
the sharps' containers
And
and
I
throw
will
the
provide
needles in
additional
stairwells
updates
and
on
shit.
these plans later this week. As a city, we continue to
The same
provide the
assholes dying
essential
from
and
this shit
critical
getting picked
services
up
that
by
our
public
residents
health.
both
They ain't
need
talking about
and
it.
rely on each and
Canadian
every day in
forces pick 'em
Toronto.
up.
I am proud of every member of our City of Toronto team who continues to work hard in support of our residents each day. And as always, I remind everyone that toronto.ca/COVID-19 is the best source for reliable and timely information on COVID-19 in Toronto. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll now go to questions. First up is Matt Bingley from Global News. Go ahead, Matt.
Hi there. I just have a question about the TTC. Another 2 staff members have tested positive for COVID-19. That brings the number up to about 23. Just wondering if you're satisfied. I'm not really sure. I guess the mayor and the chief medical officer. My question is really: are you satisfied with the way that safety is being handled on the TTC, and where would you like to actually see it improved?
So I'll start off with that. Thanks, Matt. I think the fact that you're actually seeing cases picked up shows that there is a system in place for testing, which is a good thing. I know that people are often concerned when we see positive cases, come to light. But in fact, identification of cases is the first step towards controlling disease spread within our city. So I think that this is a positive step. And I know that our colleagues at the Toronto Transit Commission are working hard to ensure that they're providing the best occupational health and safety environment for their workers. And I know that worker and rider safety are a paramount concern to management at Toronto Transit Commission. I think, if I have anything further to say with respect to this issue, is that we also know that there is spread in our community. So I think it's important to recognize that just because cases are happening amongst TTC workers, that's not necessarily a statement on transit itself. It is a statement around what is happening within our community.
Yeah,
and
these
we know that
motherfuckers
we
live
do
here. The
have
cops don't. The bus drivers
community
do.
spread. So
For the most
that
part.
really emphasizes the point for me, and the message that we have been
city workers
saying.
too.
In order to allow
Guys
for the
cruising
health
around
and
in them
safety
trucks.
of
It's been
essential
the same
workers,
guys forever. New
including
truck every
those
year. It's the
who
same
provide
guy. He
service
lives
at the TTC,
10
I
minutes from
continue
work.
to ask people to stay home as much as
Spends his
possible,
money
because
10
this is
minutes
how
from
we
work.
can, one, ensure that we
where he lives.
protect the health of all residents in our city, but particularly to protect the health of those who are providing essential services, like those who are working at the TTC.
Oh,
Mandatory. I'm just
not just people in medical. What's this?
So now you've been listening to an update from the mayor, the fire chief, and city health officials on the latest on the spread. They say it appears The curve is flattening, and there are encouraging signs physical distancing is working.
This is 6 City News. Well, despite a significant jump in the number of daily cases reported in Ontario, models at the provincial level also suggesting community spread in this province has peaked. More than 600 cases in Ontario today, a new daily high, and just over 30 deaths. However, as community spread lessens, 6 City's Momin Qureshi tells us there's a growing number of cases in long-term care homes and similar settings.
Health officials are now saying the community spread of COVID-19 appears to have peaked much sooner than expected. And
I don't think these are real, because normally it's called it a certain way. The very last
for
one,
staying home and sticking to physical distancing rules. And because of that, we are now possibly heading towards a best case scenario.
A couple weeks ago, we've been thinking about 80,000 cases in April as the expected number of cases. We're now looking at a much lower number, hopefully under 20,000 cases in this wave of the pandemic.
But the situation inside long-term care homes is still dire, with the virus spreading and outbreaks at 127 of those homes, accounting for about half of Ontario's deaths from the virus. While we are tracking towards flattening the curve, Ontario's Associate Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Barbara Yappi, cautions this will still take some time.
We have to give it time. People have to really stay the course for now.
The province has extended the state of emergency to at least May 12th. I'm Momin Qureshi.
This is 680 News. If you're hearing this, you're staying in and keeping your distance. Or you're going to work and providing all Canadians with the essential services they need to get through this unprecedented time. But whether you're at home or on the front lines, you're doing your part. And if you need us, just know that Intact Insurance is here for you, online or by phone, and with 24/7 claim service. Visit intact.ca or talk to your broker.
City streets eastbound Finch down to a single lane from Sentinel to Keele for construction. Traffic jam through that stretch, and Broadview reduced to one lane both ways south of Danforth for TTC track work. Now, 680 News gas price update. Enpro predicts the price will not change at midnight, but there could be big moves on the way in the next few days. The latest straight ahead.
This is 680 News.
Stop the
You should be paying me to get gas. Hold on. I'm not fucking stupid. Hey, hold on. Hold on.
To stop the spread of COVID.
I'm a little high. I didn't put the two stories together because they spaced them apart 5 minutes every time.
Absolutely necessary.
At a minute.
That means for groceries, for medications, for medical
oil,
equipment, or
they
if
pay you $8 to
service,
take away.
Protect yourself.
The gas is going up. Oh no, it's staying exactly at 84 cents because it's Monday.
Paid for by the government of Ontario.
Tomorrow is going to be free, right? Right?
So,
No. These people are fucking around with math. They even tried saying they had to invent some new math today. No, you didn't, motherfucker. No negative numbers.
So wrap, pack, and move everything you want. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're two men in a truck.
Oh.
We're open for business.
I keep forgetting what company it is. I just love that line.
Movers who care.
6 City News time 411.
Traffic and weather together. Here's Kyle.
Hi, this report brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. We still have lots of construction out there. It's slowly but surely clearing. The heavy spot is Toronto-bound QEW as you head towards the Burlington Skyway, where we only have still the one right lane getting past. 3 left lanes are blocked. However, they're just in the process of opening up an extra lane as a piece of heavy equipment here left, so they have a little bit more room. It'll be 2 left lanes blocked shortly, but they was
extra shit everywhere.
Long stretch, so they're backing up, moving the cones over to give you an extra lane.
2 phone lines for every line. No shit. Every phone line actually has 2 lines on it.
Fully reopened, so not too much of an improvement in the volume just yet. It's heavy from approaching Nikola Tesla to the base of the Skyway. And things starting to fill in on Eastport and Beach Boulevard as well. They were pretty good alternates for much of the afternoon. Now they're starting to get busy as you head Toronto bound as well. We have just construction here and there on the other major routes. The only other spot causing a delay was North 404 through the 407, and that construction zone has now cleared up. Watch out for single lane maintenance on Broadview, south of Danforth, TTC track work there. And we've also got heavy delay on eastbound Finch from Sentinel to Keele, where it's down to a single lane for maintenance. St. Louis Born Grill thanks you for supporting local businesses, including your local St. Louis restaurant through takeout and delivery. Their deepest gratitude goes to the first responders keeping us all safe.
Electricity?
Your next report at 4:21, and with the forecast, meteorologist
these car factories make generators, and then we'll just switch to oil while they're paying us to take it away. We'll use that money that they're giving us to pay for the fucking generators.
60 to 70 kilometers
I got the problem solved, G. Come on. Juice Rich, we got everything fixed, Mr. Floyd.
And then we have some lake effect flurries, which are going to be blowing around as well, reducing visibility at times.
I'm basically always on call, but I'm not actively picking up garbage, so I can
but then we're back to partly cloudy skies Wednesday, and still
going by the rule of
high 6. We should
universality
be
of
hitting highs of
service.
13 degrees for this time
All
of
the
year.
other rules they
Overnight
keep
tonight,
tickering back
rain
and
beginning
forth.
after
This many
midnight
days,
as
so
we
it's
drop to 3
totally
degrees
legal.
to the
It's
low. It is
perfectly
currently
fine
6
as long
degrees
as
at
you're not
Pearson.
on duty.
Now the Dynamic Funds
All right,
Market.
that's a certain number of days before duty. Right there, I'm sleeping up shit. Fuck off.
Unprecedented day.
I need this to
Breaking
go to
news
smell.
out of the energy space. The price for oil went negative for the first time
I'm
in
allowed
history.
culturally to eat and possess
$-37
mushrooms,
per barrel,
regardless of what the law
300%.
says.
This is the May contract
And I
for
believe
oil, which
cannabis supplies
expires
as well,
tonight. The
because
June
of the
contract
Lakota.
trades around $20
Oh,
per
yeah,
barrel.
I pay
So
attention
even
to what
though
happens to the other
it's
side of it. I know a lot of
extraordinary
natives,
that oil
native
flows at
Canadians, a lot of them don't
$-37
pay a
per
lot
barrel,
of attention.
it's
Some of
very
us
likely
pay
that
a
tomorrow
lot of
morning
attention.
it will be $20
happening
per
there?
barrel again. Still, this very much underscores the fact that the world is awash with oil. There is literally nowhere to put it, and no one is interested in oil
Hey,
for
Jamaica, we need them steel drums back,
actually held up
brethren.
okay today.
We
It
need to
closed
fill
higher
them
by
with oil.
47
What you mean you cut them in half,
14,407. Dow Jones Industrial Average slid 592
You know how much oil we could get for free? We just need something to put it in, brethren.
Closing down 1.8%, while the Nasdaq
Where you get all them
fell
steel
89
drums?
points. Canadian dollar down at
Weld them back together,
70.77
brethren.
cents US. That is your market minute, and this is 680 News.
In times like these, we could all use advice.
I bet the diesel price is like $1.50.
Advice matters.
I bet the
now more
diesel's
than
like
ever.
$1.50.
Speak to a
I'm not
financial
talking. Let's
advisor
find
and
out.
learn more at dynamic.ca.
I don't have a reliable source for fuel prices. Gas, but shit ain't working.
Inline fiberglass windows
You
and
guys should get
doors.
the app. Yeah,
I am
there's
proud to be living and working
That's
here
what they
in the
want you
greater
to think.
Toronto
Oh, the
area.
website ain't working. Get
All
the
of us
app.
are so lucky
I
and
almost fell
blessed to
for
be
it.
part of this strong community, province, and country. At
Oh,
this
that's fine
time,
for your
I feel
bank,
it is
because you
important to
kinda need
remind
access
all our
to
friends,
things, and it does
family,
stuff
and employees
you can't do
to
through
keep
the
an eye on
website.
one another, especially the most vulnerable.
Google gas
Let's also
prices.
come together in
How
support
much
of
is
the
the diesel? I
heroes on
need
the front lines.
dieselprices.com.
Together, we will get through this.
I need
Thank you.
realfuelprices.com. Give me like the top lowest, the 5 lowest and 5 highest stations or some shit.
Snacks, yep, couch, you better believe it. What about a con artist, food scientist, a
Get 4
Walrus
grades of
whisperer,
fuel too.
and
What
one
the
of the biggest
fuck?
documentary
Well,
film
you got 3,
festivals in the world? No? Well,
3
you're in
plus
luck.
sometimes
Watch Hot Docs at
4
Home on
plus diesel in
CBC.
there. I
Catch
meant
world
diesel, but
premieres
they got
and
this
new talks
94
every
shit
week
too.
without
I
ever
don't.
leaving the couch. Hot Docs at
Didn't we have
Home
up to
on
96
CBC.
or 97 or
Thursdays
some
at 8
shit
on
back in the
CBC
day?
and
They
CBC
still
Channel.
sell that. Does it work the extra money? Does anybody drive anything worth spending extra money on gas anymore in the 90s?
6 degrees at Pearson. Good afternoon.
Look at how much money I spent on my car. I spent so much on my car, I spent extra on the fucking fuel.
Begin with some encouraging
That
news
was
on
the
the spread of the
90s.
coronavirus. The latest numbers
Oil leak.
suggest
Oh, yeah, it
community
burns
spread
tons of oil. I
seems to
wanted
be
to burn more oil, but no ring. I wanted to burn more oil.
For
Yeah,
20,000 cases
lots
in
of oil.
Ontario by the end of the
I'm
month.
gonna get an oil
Down from
injection
earlier
system for
models
the oil
showing
pump.
80,000.
So I'm gonna
Breaking news
burn
from
so
the
much
energy markets.
goddamn
Oil
oil.
plummets more than 300% to close in negative territory.
For these stories and more, go to 680news.com.
I need some barrels.
Time out for 680
1.05 liters. It's like the 40. That'll work.
Has signed
That's a
Alfonso
liter.
Davies to a 2-year contract extension.
I need 100,000 of these damn things quick.
2025. Davies has turned into one of the best left backs in the
Diesel
world
fuel
since his move
cans
from
or
the Vancouver Whitecaps, and the Canadian turns just 20 years of age in November. NFL Draft Week is here, and according to ESPN, the San Francisco 49ers are open to trading both of their first-round picks. GM John Lynch is sitting on picks number 13 and 31, but does not have any selections in the second, third, or fourth rounds. Meanwhile, there seem to be some issues with bandwidth during today's NFL mock draft, but after a rough start, the technical issues were reportedly resolved. The NFL will conduct their virtual draft starting on Thursday. While according to Ian Rappaport, the Jacksonville Jaguars are releasing wide receiver Marquise Lee. And this week on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, we're going to take you back to some of the more memorable comebacks in Blue Jays history. Tonight we'll rewind.
No, I'm
to
looking
May
at the
6,
clock. Like, you know when you're
2013,
halfway
JP
between, like,
Arizibia had some late game
if you leave
heroics
now, you
against
can
the
get somewhere
Tampa
you'll
Bay
be
Rays.
20 minutes
That
too
gets
early,
going
but
at
if you wait, you're going to be 10
7:20
minutes
following
late type bullshit.
conversation
Or
with Ron McLean.
at
and 45 past every hour, or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
I bet it's 555-1212, eh? I bet if I check, I just checked my fucking phone log.
To stop the spread of COVID-19. Ignoring self-isolation or physical
I'm on top of everything. I want to know how everything works.
And endanger the
if my phones all stop, dial pads stop working, I can go on the internet, dial the phone, and then it'll ring. I pick it up, and it'll ring the fucking number I just dialed, even if the dial pad all fucked up. I gotta figure it out, man. Everything's redundant. That's the word I'm looking for. Wasn't looking for it, but I got it. We got backup generators. Yeah, we got 2 backup generators. We got 2 buildings, 2 backup generators, 2 basements. I mean, technically, we got 2 penthouses because it's 2 buildings.
The supply of medical masks for frontline healthcare
Sub-penthouse and penthouses.
CanadaMaskSupply.ca offers personal, non-medical masks and face shields at
That's
reasonable
double the number of
prices.
penthouses they
Proudly
can
made
sell.
in Canada for Canadians. Buy non-medical masks and face shields now at
Building 80-story
CanadaMaskSupply.ca.
fucking towers in this city.
That's the 680 News after being
elevated to the 7th floor. Sometimes I hold my breath in the elevator a lot. I only live 7 floors. Oh, okay. Come soon, it's all good. You got a problem. You know what?
Approved just moments ago in a vote in the House, the Liberal motion mirrors an agreement that had been reached over the weekend with the NDP and Bloc Québécois, which will see a limited number of MPs meet in person every Wednesday and hold virtual sittings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Conservatives forced today's sitting and the vote since they wanted at least 2 in-person sittings a week and refused to give unanimous consent. Today saw regular proceedings, including question period, where Conservative leader Andrew Scheer challenged the government on its response to the COVID-19
I'm trying to figure out how many alarms I can put on this thing. But I want it to be for 1 minute, not 10 fucking minutes. 10 seconds, something. 1 beat, just 1.
We've sent 400 ventilators to provinces and territories and have contracts with 3 Canadian companies who will supply 30,000 ventilators starting in May.
Conservatives draw a lot of criticisms for their actions. The
NDP do not abandon our civility and trading roots, even in the midst of this. No, we're not going to price gouge, but we will sell you the masks. Look at this. Get mad that you won't sell us the masks. Eh? We'll make our own masks and sell them. No, we won't sell them. We'll distribute them, and then we'll pay for the payroll. It'll work out.
Pay it forward to our healthcare heroes. We're happy to make dinner easy and delicious for you, courtesy of PC.
The government puts you around, but who can buy your product?
Thank you for all that you're doing on the front lines. To pay it forward to an healthcare worker, you know, visit 680news.com/heroes.
Join 680
Where's your
News.
factory? I know your factory up here is.
Operation Support Local. Hi, it's Steve Roberts. These local businesses
Way out in the woods,
and while we'll recover, many places need your help to survive. We encourage you to support local so we can keep the places you love.
Oh, it's on the main road. The main road runs through the woods.
To find a local business to support, visit 680news.com/support local. Operation Support Local.
In partnership with our friends, Scotiabank.
It's 2020 o'clock.
In times like
but
these,
it's 420
local. Your money work even harder for you? We think so. That's why at Duca Credit Union, you get no-fee checking accounts. You also get high interest on deposits and investments and low mortgage rates. Plus, you get to share in the profits.
That was DUCA, but I think I'm thinking of the used car.
Find out how to earn more on your savings with our great rates at Duca.com. Do more, be more, achieve more with Duca Credit Union. Conditions apply.
680 News Time, 421, traffic and weather together. Kyle.
This report brought to you by City TV. We have a couple of new problems on the highways, most pressing of which is northbound 400, just north of the Shepherd Overpass. We have a tire that was in the left lane, and as I was describing that to you, somebody has hit it. And I'm not sure where it's gone because it's out of my camera view now. But
yeah, he knocked it out the way. It was a big Chevy 4x4 pickup, wasn't it?
We have this tire in live lanes. It's on the left side of the road,
highway pool,
or at least it was in the left lane, and now it's likely in one of the 2 left lanes here, as it's been flung around by a pickup truck that ran it over.
Shoulder.
So watch out for that.
$1 says right
they're
shoulder.
sending a crew that way. We have as well this construction.
If it's on the road at all.
QEW heading over the Burlington Skyway.
You'll find it in 2 minutes. You'll be like, oh, it's over on the right shoulder. Oh, somebody just hit it again. Someone pulled over to hit it. Hey.
volume should start to improve a bit as they've just reopened an extra lane. Still heavy approaching Nikola
Extra
Tesla.
lane. Our roads got extra lanes. They leave closed
And then we have
just
a
in
new
case they
problem
got
off the
open.
highways. Westbound Steeles at Norfinch, just
They
before
can
the
shut off whole
400. The right lane
neighborhoods.
is
They can
blocked for the
clear them
stone
out. I've
transport.
seen
Looks
them
like
clear
it's
the
a blown
downtown
tire.
core of
So they're
cars
working
just
on
by
that, but it's jammed
creatively
approaching
placing the
Jane over to
police directing
Norfinch.
traffic. Because if they say go
Breakfast
left or right,
Television is here to start your day with all the COVID-19 information you need, plus the BT gang you know and love. We're all in this together. BT, weekdays at 5:30, only on City TV. Your next report at 4:31, and with the extended forecast, meteorologist Natasha Ramsahai.
Still below seasonal all week long, and tomorrow's going to be a very different day compared to
they used
today.
to
In
try
fact,
getting the
after midnight
pedestrians
tonight, getting
out
into some
off
light
the
rain.
street.
It's about 2 or 3 millimeters worth. Tapering
What'd
off
you
around
say,
7, 8 in the morning.
White boy,
Temperatures
somebody
6
will throw a
degrees
bottle.
falling to
They'll
3,
look
wind
to see where
chill
it came
minus
from.
3.
Everybody
Very
laughs.
gusty winds as well out of the northwest up to
Some
about
guy on the other
60 to
side,
70
well, it was me.
kilometers
They
per
know
hour.
it
And
wasn't him,
throughout
but
the
now they
afternoon, we'll
don't
be
know how
looking
many
at some
people
on and
are
off
doing
lake
the
effect
fucking
flurries. A Wednesday partly cloudy and 6. Thursday mainly sunny and 6. And we end off the week with sunshine Friday with a high of 9 degrees. But again, these are cool temperatures. We're stuck in this pattern at least for another 10 days. Overnight tonight, we're down to a low of 3 degrees. At midnight, it is currently 6 degrees at Pearson.
Coming up the bottom of the hour, some encouraging news on the spread of the
-3,
coronavirus. The latest number suggests community spread seems to have peaked,
whatever.
and the curve appears to be flattening. And breaking news from the energy markets. Oil plummets more than 300%. It is closed in negative territory. All that straight ahead. This is 680 News.
To the nurses and doctors who doubled their shifts. To those wiping down every surface and keeping us safe. Those who keep the lights on and the food coming. To all frontline and emergency workers, Subaru dealers salute you. In fact, while we continue to provide essential services to all Subaru customers, we'll drop everything to put you first. Simply visit us online, because that's how we'll safely plan every appointment. From your Ontario Subaru dealers, let's all stay safe.
It keeps growing.
The 680 News Weather Guarantee jackpot
Is over a mind-blowing $20,000. Enter now for your chance to win at 680news.com/contest.
Sports on the News brought to you by lessmess.ca. 680's Mark Douglas joins us now live with the latest from the Ford government. Mark.
Yeah, that's right, James. After these modeling numbers came out today, Premier Doug Ford says, yes, the numbers do show some light at the end of the tunnel, but he is not going to speculate on when restrictive
So I'm getting better and the whole province is getting better. That's
and
pretty
when
symbolic.
Ontario's might be restarted.
Hold on, there's a backup plan. There is a backup plan. Do not panic.
Lessness Envirobag, but lessness.ca offers quick, no-contact delivery.
My connection's not unstable. I've been waiting 10 seconds for you to go split
Lessness.ca
screen.
and get into your garden.
In times like these, shouldn't your money work even harder for you? We think so. That's why at Duca Credit Union, you get no-fee checking accounts.
It's back
You
on.
also
Let's
get
see what I
high
can
interest
do.
on deposits and investments, and low mortgage rates. Plus, do more, be more, achieve more with Duca
So
Credit
how
Union.
come with your browser and your server and your everything, you fucking keep cutting in and out of me when I'm doing things the right way? Like, you fuck with
Oh,
my
a
head.
historic day in the energy markets, James. Literally no one alive has ever seen anything like this. Oil dripped below zero, closing in negative territory for the first time ever. Oil closing down 300%. Yes, 300% at negative $37 per barrel. Quarantines and lockdowns have cut demand for driving, for flying, for factory production. Demand has evaporated for oil so much that there is literally nowhere left to store it. Even the big tanker boats are just floating around with nowhere to go with it. It is important to note, though, that while the May futures contract closed minus $37, it expires tonight. The June contract around $20. So
This
oil's
is like
likely
when
to open
everybody
tomorrow
in the
at
neighborhood is
$20 per barrel, making today's
Everybody's
move
attractive.
more of a
Oh,
technical
you're all gonna
oddity
make money,
than
right?
anything
You're
else.
all gonna
Still, it's possible the June contract rolls over too. I mean, the International Energy Agency believes that the global demand for oil is about 5 million barrels per day right now, much
It
less
says
than it
watch
used to be.
live.
And
Toronto
investors may be
officials provide
speculating as
update.
well
They did
that
cut that
perhaps
off.
people will drive less and fly less permanently once this is all over and done with. Here's the most astonishing thing as well. The TSX closed the day higher, up 45 points, 1/3% at 14,405, even with all the energy companies on board. How about that, Greg Taylor with Purpose Investments?
I think this goes to highlight
energy companies won't be part of
that people were expecting, and really no one was expecting good numbers out of the oil patch. So I think it's a bit of a credit to the market that the oil stocks
what is the fucking purpose of this?
Oil's down 3